All right, the February 18th, 2026 meeting of the City Council will now come to order at 6 p.m. Winnie, may we have roll call, please?
Jessica Ayers.
Here.
Nick Card.
Here.
Kevin Keating. Mike Kurlinger.
Yeah.
John Quinn.
Here.
Zach Smith.
Here.
Kevin Stein. And Garrett West.
Here.
We have 6 present.
All right, we have a quorum. Hey, Winnie, is Kevin planning on attending remote? Okay. So that said, if he joins up, the 2 people on the end are responsible for catching my attention if he wants to speak.
Oh, that's not me.
We'll move on to city manager reports. Mr. Vile?
Mayor, Council, John Vile, serving as your interim city manager. A few things just to update council on this evening. Last week, we had a fun event where we recognized 19 different employees in the city who have been nominated for Employee of the Quarter. And through that process, we are able to select the Employee of the Year, which is Carla Palladino, a planner in our planning department. I'm going to be talking about her a little further in the presentation, so I'm going to not say anything more about that. It was a fun event. We had a good time. We were able to read a little bit about each person who was nominated and highlighted some of their accomplishments, and it was a good time. And we don't do enough recognition, so it was fun to do that and recognize those employees. And thank you to Bonnie and her human resource team for coordinating that program. We received notice last month of a fund designation where the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department has a program within the Oregon Heritage Division within OPRD for the Oregon Main Street program. And our Main Street has been designated, has been advanced to the designated Main Street program. There's 4 tiers in this program, and this is the next to the highest tier. This is something that Annie Jenkins and her team with DMA, the Downtown Medford Association, has been working on. This is a significant accomplishment. This allows access to some technical assistance for downtown redevelopment. It provides some access to grants and other resources to assist. So this is an exciting thing for our downtown. Congratulations to DMA for this work and continuing to find efforts to make our downtown better and more successful. If you didn't notice, we've been getting some weather, and our public works crews have been out literally night and day. Last night, I think they had crews out for the entire night. It started freezing, and then it started snowing, and things were pretty white in the morning, and they were out all night working, sanding, de-icing, and plowing where needed. The winter weather advisory does continue through this Thursday. We've opened up the severe weather shelter that Access operates for us on Monday, and that's going to remain open through Friday when the temperatures are finally, hopefully, going to start rising again and the weather's going to improve. The city's up to 6 plows now, and we did not need to utilize all 6 of them during the storm, because there's quite a few places in town that just had a dusting. But you can see from this photo, up in the foothills, we got a fair amount of snow up there, and it's nice to have those pieces of equipment to be able to use and to provide a higher level of service for our citizens. Well done, Public Works Department. Along with that, the Communications Division has been working really hard to provide up-to-date information regarding our road conditions and these weather events. The crews are out there, as I noted, 24/7, and they are constantly providing information to the Communications Division to post sites on our websites and our social media sites. And as this picture shows, these are point of view, where the crews are out there, they take a snapshot, they send it to KJ and her team then posts that. These have been received really well. We, in total of all of our social media sites and emails, about 48,000 potential, and right now we're well over 100,000 views on this storm alone. So this is getting considerable detail or considerable attention, and I think it's a great service that we're able to provide to our citizens. And every time you post one of these, everybody chimes in, and yeah, that's what it looks like at our house, and I got 10 inches at my house, and you guys down in the valley don't have any. And it's a tool that people are using. They're going to it often, and so well done, KJ and your communications team. And lastly, we have a couple of key meetings coming up for you. Next Wednesday is the study session on Creekside Quarter. Tomorrow, some of you are going to be briefed in a council briefing and given some information to help prepare you for that study session. And then at the study session on the 25th, we're going to have representatives from Major League Baseball, from the Eugene Emeralds, and others talk to us, and then I'm going to be asking council for a series of questions to provide some additional direction to staff to take the next step on that project should you decide that that's the direction we want to go. And then in March 18th is another key meeting where the Economic Improvement District for the downtown area is going to have the public hearing. So those that are part of that district can come talk to you and let you know their feelings regarding that, and that's a key meeting for the continued advancement of that, that program. And with that, I have nothing else unless you have questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Curlinger?
I don't have a question. I just want to comment. I don't remember how I signed up for text alerts, but I get them, and they're amazing and timely and not like spammy. So good job, comms and everybody.
All right. Good job by accident of getting those.
All right, I think that's it, sir. Next up, we have employee recognitions. Human Resources Director Bonnie Barish is here to recognize one anniversary, one retirement, and to announce the Employee of the Year. It's been spoiled.
Cat's out of the bag.
Mayor, Council, I'm Bonnie Barish. I am your HR Director, and while it might be cold outside, it's warm in here anytime we get to recognize our great employees. So I would like to start by recognizing the service anniversary of Doug Burrows. He has been with us for 20 years of service. So Doug was hired as an engineering tech 3 in the Public Works Department on 2/13/2006. So during this time, he has been responsible for coordinating public improvement plan reviews, sanitary sewer design, stormwater review, and some geographic information system mapping, among other things. In October of 2014, he was promoted to the Development Services Manager position where he remains today. During this time, he has worked as the Public Works representative to the Planning and Site Plan Commissions, as well as the Land Development Committee. He was also the department representative responsible for implementation of the new community development database solution that we got in 2019, which sounds like it's old, but it's not, called Track It. Doug's a valuable member of the management team in engineering. He has shown great success managing his team, and he always works to improve them and himself. He has even completed the Emerging Leaders Academy offered through the American Public Works Association. Doug has been married to his lovely wife, Nicole, for 28 years. They have 4 children, and 3 of them who have all worked for the city, and 1, Brittany, who continues to work for the city. So please join me in congratulating Doug on 20 years of service. Thanks. Congratulations, Doug. All right. Next, we are recognizing the retirement of Barb Madruga. Barb has been our IT director and has worked for us for 26 years. So I'm going to invite Ryan Martin, who I think I saw just behind me, and he's going to speak a bit about Barb.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ryan Martin, your Chief Financial Officer and Assistant City Manager. And it is my pleasure tonight, and a little bit of sadness, to welcome Barb into retirement this coming week. Barb started at the City of Medford in February of the year 2000. Still convinced that she wanted to see how Y2K panned out and then, apply for the job if everything went okay. She worked as a project manager and was promoted to the Assistant Technology Services Director role in 2011. And in 2018, she was promoted to the Technology Services Director and immediately changed the name of the department to Innovation and Technology, which I think shows her philosophy of bringing the department into the 21st century. The IT department serves 630 internal staff members across 16 different work sites, and ensuring that they have ability, networking and computing services, abilities to carry out their mission. The IT department manages servers, switches, software, hardware, and cybersecurity, among other things. Barb's accomplishments in the city probably could be a book, but I'm going to keep it kind of short. We do have Mira after this, so we know that may go a little longer. Barb helped implement nearly every software that we have in the city, as well as manage the software after the implementation, which is sometimes more difficult. Barb implemented a knowledge base and support ticket system to help employees self-diagnose some of the more basic issues. Unplug, plug back in, see if that works. And Barb implemented phishing simulation emails that helped keep our employees on their toes. Had a great joke if Chief Ivins was here tonight, but he's not. So, and what this has allowed us to do is keep a pretty consistent amount of employees in the IT department, which I know has been difficult for many years for Barb, but the things that she's done in the last 8 years now have helped us not to have to hire a lot of new employees because her and her team do such a great job. Barb was secure before cybersecurity was cool. She's always done everything she can to protect the city against malware, ransomware, and any other kinds of ware. And a few other things I appreciate about Barb is she always looks at everything with the fiscal lens. Thank you, Barb. She holds her team and herself accountable, and she always thinks ahead of how things can be done differently to achieve a better result. So please join me in thanking Barb for 26 years of service and wishing her well into her retirement.
Congratulations, Barb. And Barb, thank you very much for all that you have done. All right, and now, have a drum roll, but kind of John blew that, right? So we are going to talk about our Employee of the Year. So to do that would be our interim city manager, John Vile.
Mayor and Council, it's my honor to recognize Carla Palladino as the City of Medford Employee of the Year. Each quarter, the city has an employee recognition program where peers, coworkers, and managers can nominate deserving employees for recognition as the City Employee of the Quarter. Then at the beginning of the new year, all those nomination forms are gathered together and they're provided to the department directors. And the department directors are asked to go through and rank their top 3 nominees for that last year. Those scores are then all aggregated, and the top-ranking employee is selected as the City of Medford Employee of the Year. And this year, Carla Palladino, the principal planner for our planning department, was the winner. Michelle King, the planning department director, is the one who nominated Carla. And in her nomination, she did a fun thing that she reached out to Carla's peers and coworkers and asked them for comments, and then she placed those comments on the nomination form. And I just wanted to share a couple of those with you. Quote, "I'm happy whenever I am lucky enough to get to work with Carla." Quote, "She is kind, empathetic, and an excellent communicator and a talented presenter. I can't think of a better nominee for Employee of the Quarter or the Employee of the Year. Another quote, Carla is simply an outstanding and excellent representative of the city of Medford. Another one, it's a good one, Carla is a rock star, and I enjoy working with her. And the last one, Carla is collaborative, intelligent, professional, creative, and always ethical with the best interest of the city of Medford in her mind. From September 2024 to March 25 last year, following Matt Brinkley leaving the city, Carla was asked to serve as both the interim department director and retain her current role as the principal planner. This was a role that Carla did not request, and I'm not sure Carla really even wanted it. But during this time, she led the department seamlessly, leading department staff meetings, representing the department in citywide issues, ensuring essential short-range planning services and deadlines were met. She helped develop the biennial budget, and she continued to complete, all the while she continued to complete her previous responsibilities at the same time. Lastly, in Carla's position, she serves as the lead planner for Medford's long-range comprehensive plan, a plan which all of us recognize is clearly needed for our orderly growth, but which is also a plan that has a heavy state oversight and must meet many statewide planning goals and policies. This process has a built-in friction where statewide plans and goals don't always line up with local control and local desires. Navigating this built-in friction is an area where Carla simply excels. She is a master at looking for and finding compromise, finding solutions that work for the city of Medford, and she knows when and how to push back on the state, and frankly, when and how to explain to council and staff that we probably aren't going to win this one, so let's figure it out together. This role can place Carla in a tough position where it seems no one is happy. Yet she finds solutions with a professionalism, with hard work, with a constant and never-ending smile, and with a grace that is rare, which is uniquely just who Carla is. I think this level of recognition for you, Carla, is overdue, and I'm grateful that you are being recognized as the City of Medford Employee of the Year for 2025. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Carla. Thank you. Thank you. And that will conclude our employee recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie, and congratulations to our outstanding employees, and thank you to all for your many years of wonderful service. Next up, TJ, Travel Medford. There he is. I'm sorry. Officially, introduction. Travel Medford Senior Vice President TJ Holmes is here tonight to provide the quarterly update. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is TJ Holmes. I'm the Senior Vice President of Travel Medford. Kicking off my second quarter report. Didn't get in front of you in November. There's a lot of things that you guys are working on just after the election, so congrats for the Creekside quarter being passed, but I would like to start off by saying congratulations to you, the city, and more especially Parks and Rec Director Rich Rosenthal. You published your annual reports for the economic impact of Rogex and Lithium Driveway Fields recently, and like I said, congrats to Rich Rosenthal and his excellent staff for the success and the record years of those two sports facilities combined, of what they're able to produce for not only the community but for visitors as well. And that Travel Medford is a proud partner with Parks and Rec and Rich and his team to be able to help drive economic impact. For our quarter two report, we're looking at October, November, and December, starting off with the transient lodging tax revenue for those 3 months. You can look at October was about the same of where it's been kind of leveling out at. November looks a little bit lower just because there was a couple of late payments that month, and you can see December was significantly higher than other previous months. So it was a record December, but overall it kind of balanced out pretty well. For the total amount, not sure if you can see it on the screen there, but it was $401,000. That's Travel Medford's share, the 25% of the TLT, compared to last year's $405,000. Although it's a little bit down, it's the second best quarter for so far in TLT, but through the midway point of the year, through 6 months, we are on a record pace, 1% above last year's record pace in TLT. So looking really good halfway through the year. For some of our key tourism trends that we share, average daily rate, just about $107 right now. Occupancy was actually up 2% year over year, but demand is actually up nearly 5%. So we had an increase in supply with the hotel opening. Wood Springs Suites off of Barnett over there in South Medford. And then so we saw room demand actually increase nearly 5% for that second quarter. And for intermediaries, that's the short-term rentals, saw a significant increase. So short-term rentals holding really strong right now for our market. For some of our tourism promotion, like I said, I didn't get in front of you in November to talk about our first quarter, so one thing I wanted to highlight from September was Travel Medford answered an RFP and bid and secured on a travel writer conference for Travel and Words from Northwest Travel and Life magazine, where we hosted 35 travel writers here for 3 days, along with 30 other DMOs from the Pacific Northwest. And we also hosted pre- and post-conference familiarization trips for a lot of these writers that were more of a directed approach to try and show them the area as much as possible while they were in town. So had a great experience doing that. We expect media coverage to continue for a couple of years based on that conference alone. We also had a advertising campaign that we did on Coin over Oregon's harvest up in the Portland and Vancouver area, Columbia River Gorge, and then some of the rural areas up in Washington and Oregon. And we were able to have 803 spots that our commercials were advertised on in that area for 6.4 million impressions. So a couple of campaign highlights that way. I'd show it to you, but the video's too long. So I'll be able to send you guys a link to be able to follow up with that. In our Expedia campaign, that's our direct booking campaign, where we were able to, you can tell if we served you an ad, if you booked a hotel or a short-term rental in Medford through Expedia, we can track that based on that campaign. So just shy of 10,000 room nights that campaign has generated so far from August through December for a return on advertising spend of $17 for every dollar that we've spent into Medford gross revenue into lodging. Couple of collateral that we created during quarter two. We created a downtown Medford walking map that we seeked input from Annie Jenkins with the Downtown Medford Association to be able to get some input and some feedback on that. So that's a proud piece of collateral that we are distributing. And then also a mountain biking trails map. We received some input from the Rogue Valley Mountain Biking Trails Association to be able to produce that pamphlet as well. So we were able to get that in circulation during this quarter. Event promotion, that's one of the things that we focus on quite a bit here for Travel Medford. This is the first year that we actually broke our grant cycle into 2 different cycles instead of having a rolling application. It's drastically improved efficiency with how we were able to distribute grants. Our first cycle that we had for events happening in the first half of the year, as you can see, we got some feedback on our post-event reports, over 1,000 room nights generated. We awarded 26 grants to different events for a total of $68,000 direct spend onto those events. And about 50% were tourism driving events that were focused on room nights, and then 50% were also on enhancers. So people that are in town and residents can enjoy, that's not necessarily a room driving event for that. Cycle 2, we did award 13 grants of totaling about $22,000, and we expect to see if CLT continues to go up, that we might see an increase towards the end of the year with being able to award a couple of other events towards the end of the year. Some big events coming up that we're really excited on: Pear Blossom Festival, obviously, Art and Bloom coming in May, the Rogue Memorial Challenge, one of our biggest sporting events that we have in our community. the Southern Oregon Open, formerly the Kids Unlimited basketball tournament, a big lacrosse tournament that's coming in June, and then Savor Southern Oregon as well, the wine event in June. For visitor services, during the holidays, we had our Taste of the Rogue event that we put on at the airport. We do tastes and pours from different wineries and breweries and restaurants, be able to serve different samples out there. We increased it from doing it twice a month to twice a week during the holidays because of such a high peak travel time. And so we served, or the wineries and the vendors served over 600 samples during that time. It's one of the most favorite pop-up events that we do for Travel Medford in a partnership with the airport. We also created 2 visitor engagement passport programs for a harvest hop passport to get people out to the farms during harvest, and then also partnered with the DMA on their Forks and Friends Restaurant Week to be able to have a passport to highlight one of their key events for the year. For sports tourism, we had, I mentioned the success that Rich Rosenthal and his staff has had with the 2 greatest venues in Oregon, in my opinion. But a couple of the events that Travel Medford took a big part in securing or bidding or helping promote the event. During that time, the USA Softball Fall Exposure Tournament, over 400,000 economic impact. The Rogue Marathon had a record number, 499 runners compete across the different divisions. As you all know, your fellow counselor, Kevin Stein, ran and participated in that event. The Cascade Collegiate Conference Soccer Championships that we partnered with Parks and Rec to be able to bring that to Medford and pulled that away from Springfield as another huge success of $455,000 in economic impact. And then the OISA Founders Cup, we had 30 visiting teams there in November for that. And then so we'll see that again in May. And as you can see there, some of you participated in the Cornhole Pro-Am that we had here. I know that was January. It wasn't part of the Q2, but it was recent. So I just want to say thank you all for some of our elected officials and community leaders for competing with pros from all over the country in that event. Hopefully you had a great time. And I do want to point out that Councilor Curlinger bested interim city manager John Vile in the semis. There might be some bragging rights going on right there to make it to the finals. So thank you all for this opportunity to present our Q2 report this time, and I can answer any questions.
Super, thank you, TJ. Questions, Mr. Curlinger?
Yeah, the data you're pulling for occupancy reports, I remember discussing a new system you guys want to use that was going to increase accuracy. Has that launched yet, or is this still self-reported?
In discussion with City CFO Ryan Martin, they will be launching that in the next couple of months, I believe, and we are in talks about how that's going to be a lot more accurate with the reporting.
All right. No other questions. Thank you, TJ.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item 40, but first I'll recognize Kevin Keating is here and Kevin Stein is on the disembodied voice. We hear later. Thank you. So oral requests and communications when the City Council sets aside 30 minutes for in-person public comments. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person or organization. As outlined in the agenda, the public may also submit written comments to the council. Winnie, please note the written comments received for the record.
We received written comments from 39 people. The following 28 people wrote in support of option 3 for the Main Street reconfiguration. Gary Schaff, Philip Kolzowski, Casey Hanna, David Spiegel, Julie McDarmond, Chambray Nokowski, Sasha Edwards, Lawrence Newcomb, Sarah Horst, Cindy Hickey, Phyllis Nelson, Michael Mayerly, Bob Buckmeister, Bruce Philbrick, Cindy Hall, Michelle Ahern, Chrissy Milner, Megan D'Angelo, Victoria Brown, Laurel Williamson, Renee Collier, Jenna Kirka, Elena Huang, Rachel Koning, Mandy Capehart, Don Luther, Lanessa Pierce, and Mara Mayerly. The following 11 individuals did not indicate a preference for option 3. However, they requested that the council revisit the decision to restore Main Street to its prior configuration. Brant Bernards, Robin Dressler, Gwen Penkert, Julianne Newman, Steve Bismarck, Madeline Bryan, Lisa Brill representing Siskiyou Velo, Brittany Sevington, Corey McConan, Michelle Sanders, Laura Pfister. The comments were submitted to the mayor, the city council, and appropriate staff. Comments are also available on the city's website. There were no other written comments received for agenda item 40 before the deadline at noon.
All right, thank you. So before hearing public comments, I'd like to note the decorum policy for the council chambers. The use of noisemakers or disruptive audience behavior such as applause, cheering, or shouting is not permitted. Decorum violations are time-consuming and disrespectful to the speaker and all attendees. Failure to follow the basic standards of decorum may result in removal from the meeting. Finally, I would like to emphasize that this is your opportunity to provide comments to the council and is not intended to be a time for question and answers. If you have completed a public comment form, please come to the front of the room when your name is called. The time is 6:31. Winnie, has anyone completed a public comment form for tonight's meeting?
Yes, Your Honor, I think we have about 20 forms tonight.
Okay, so we want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to be heard. However, we all have a somewhat light council agenda, but we do have 2 other meetings that follow this, so we need to stay as close to on time as possible. Don't feel obligated to take the full 2 minutes. I really don't want to cut this thing off before everyone has a chance to speak, so at least some sort of brevity would be helpful. That being said, Winnie, can you call the first 3 names?
We have Bill Dames, Michael Mayerly, and Mark Milner.
Bill Dames, 2337 Kona Circle. The Courier should get a Pulitzer. When I wrote to you in October, I pointed out that the analysis had included cities from other states, but none from Oregon, this regarding the ball field. I pointed out that the figures in your analysis were confusing. Needless to say, you need honesty in analyzing the costs of a project, especially one that uses tax dollars. If someone like a baseball team comes to town, they need to pay their fair share of the costs. To determine that, you need to be honest in your analysis. An optimistic but dishonest analysis should be avoided. Unfortunately, that is where we are right now. If a team comes here, it can be located at Rogue X. It is not the end of the world to be located there. A minor league team would be nice, but it has to come to town on our terms. Otherwise, it's too expensive and not worth it. And still, you can have your convention center downtown or centers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. My name is Michael Merrily, 2156 Woodlawn. I am here as a lifelong resident of Medford. I am a partner in a downtown law firm. I have a financial interest in the building that we are located at on Central and Main. I'm not here on behalf of the firm. I'm here as an individual. I would also say my family owns 3 other downtown properties. I say that to indicate and emphasize that I have a financial interest in downtown succeeding. I want to see downtown succeed. It seems, also as a taxpayer, I want my money spent wisely. And so I guess I'm speaking to Mr. Keating, Mr. Quinn, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Card, because I believe those are the 4 individuals that could repetition or remotion the council to revisit the issue and choose option 3, which I would be an advocate for. It seems that option 3 satisfies everybody. Nobody is saying, hey, what Medford really needs is a 3rd lane downtown through its downtown. No one, I have not heard anyone say that. None of the businesses want that. Option 3 moves the curbside, or moves the cars, moves the parking to the curbs, which everybody agrees, yes, that's the good idea. It has 2 lanes, it does have a small bike path, and it costs $500,000 less. It just seems to me, what is the opposition to option 3? That it doesn't have a 3rd lane? Again, no one wants a 3rd lane in downtown Medford. And it would only go on for 10 blocks approximately, right? As a business downtown, you want traffic slow, you want people to see where they could park, and you want them to park and come visit your spots. Is
sorry.
that my time?
Yep, perfect time.
All right, I'm out of here. Thank you much. Please, option 3.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
councilors.
I apologize. Can you call 3 more names?
And will you give me a second back?
Oh, look at the clock run.
I got buzzed out last time.
Yeah.
We got to reset that clock.
Ren Cable, Alex Golden, and Samantha Pettigrew are the next 3.
Perfect. Yeah, if you just come on down and line up as you're doing, perfect. Okay, look at that, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. I'm here tonight on behalf of many businesses and building owners who support option 3. Many are in this room tonight, and all of the individuals are stakeholders in downtown. Brant Bernard, Elks Lodge, Hillary Cano, Beatrice Restaurant, Dennis Clark, Jefferson Kitchen, Cindy Hickey, Bumble and Wren, Abby McGee, Executive Director, Brit Festival, Corey McConan, Copper Plank, Philip McVean, an independent business owner, Philip Nelson, a Main Street Market building owner, Steve Reimer, Elements Hotel, and my friend and neighbor, star of tonight, Mr. Fred Phelps, who has been in downtown for 50 years, living and raising his children and running various businesses and leasing out to others. We all work and own properties in downtown Medford and play a vital role in giving our historic core an identity. We are an integral link to the greater Medford community and the city. When you think of the city, you always think of downtown first when it comes to an image. I cannot overstate this. Never in my 25 years of business on Main have I felt such strife and discord with certain members of council, city council. It feels like the private sector partnership with city council is slipping away since passing option 1. Many reputable businesses have told me they have lost trust and confidence in our city council to make sound decisions, rational decisions, fiscal decisions that best support and uplift Main Street business community. I urge this council to go back to the table, have an open discussion, and recast your vote to demonstrate to us, the business owners, who believe in this downtown, that we are indeed the driving force and spirit that defines downtown Medford on Main Street. Remember, it's a 2-way street, not a 3-lane highway. I urge you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up.
Yep, there we are. Good evening, friends. Ren Cable, 3963 Arrowhead Drive. I'm standing here this evening to add my voice to the growing collective of public and people opposed to the decision that the council has made regarding the future of Main Street. I've lived in Medford and been a bike commuter here for 23 years. I've seen the city grow in its accessibility and its safety for bikes and pedestrians. I've chosen to ride my bike from here to my job at Providence, from here to the bus station to go to my job at SOU, and from my home in North Medford to City Hall, where I work. My comments, by the way, are mine only. I'm going to start by saying I was not a fan of the 2-way bike lane. It has its problems, but it was a bike lane where no bike lane existed before. Statistics presented by the Public Works Department have shown that overall, the bike lane has made downtown safer. Crashes are down, speeds are down, bicycle commuting is up. But it's more than a bike lane. It's about connection, community, agency, and life here in Medford. My wife can't drive. Her vision prohibits her from driving a car at high speeds, but a bike is a perfect mode of transportation for her. Since we've had this bike lane down here, we've been able to ride together to Common Block Brewing, the Bead Store on 6th Street. We've been able to shop at the Retro Wormhole together. We've been able to eat at Hen and Flower. We've been able to buy garden supplies at Bumble and Wren. Riding a bike down here is also about community. You don't get the sense of community driving through on a 3-lane highway in a car surrounded by glass and steel. Every morning I can wave at the people on Main Street. I can ring my bell and smile at the owner of Floriat Coffee. I can admire the Christmas decorations and essentials. It's about being a part of this community, slowing things down, being a part of the life of Medford. So I'd urge the council to please revisit your decision and vote again for option 3.
Thank you.
Good evening, councilors. Alex Golden, Ward 4. Okay. Last time it caught me off guard. I was here last time as a father who enjoys biking with his son and a lifelong commuter in Medford. Thanks for having us here again. Today I'm here as the vice chair of the Active Transportation Advisory Committee. I don't represent them, but I'm speaking from conversations that have been had there, as well as my employment in a bicycle shop, where, believe it or not, cyclists talk about bike lanes. We all agree the option as it exists, the 2-way lane on the alternative side of the street, is confusing. It's confusing for cyclists, it's confusing for drivers, it's even confusing for pedestrians, which is a fun game of Frogger. Reverting to no bike lane, going back that far, puts us in a position as a city where we are going to have to revisit this again sometime, hopefully in the near future, if not in the far future. How much money will we spend then? Where will we find ourselves financially at that point? And will we be able to put a bike lane downtown then? It's been pointed out that we didn't hear from a lot of cyclists. And I think I have a unique perspective, having embedded myself fairly well in the community, to answer why. We assumed that the farthest back we would go was option 3. That was where we assumed this would land. We didn't think we would put on our 2-decade boots and take the biggest step backwards we could. We thought we would land at a compromise. That's what option 3 is. On behalf of the cycling community, I can say a protected bike lane is the ideal. Any bike lane you wouldn't put your child in is not a truly safe lane. It's a gamble. It's a bet. Option 3 is a bet, but at least it gives us a chance. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Can you call 3 more, Winnie?
It's Adam Cuppy, Shannon Haas, and Sunny Spicer.
I start?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Samantha Pettigrew. I live in Ward 4, and I'm coming here as a longtime citizen of Medford, and also today as a mother with a child who has a passion for biking. I am also a cyclist in Medford, and I have been appreciating that there is a protected bike infrastructure that has been built on Main Street, and I would like to urge you all to reconsider option 3, to keep that there. I want to make sure that I'm raising my son in a place where there are protected places like that, and I think this has been really wonderful for the cycling community, and it makes the downtown a more welcoming place for people who are using alternative forms of transportation, which is a really important step into the future. So please reconsider.
Thank you. And next.
Well, hi, council members and mayor. My name's Adam Cuppy. I'm in Ward 4. I've been a member of the community for about 25 years. I started as a student and then a business owner of a business right in the downtown area of the Woolworth building, so I'm familiar with both sides. In 2013, I moved away to San Diego, and when I was 35 years old, I decided to do the most stupid thing I could think of, and that was an Ironman triathlon. For those of you who don't know, it's 140 miles traveled in a single day, where 112 of those miles are on a bike. So you'd imagine that over the course of 3 years, you're going to spend a whole heck of a lot of time on a bike in streets. And there's two things I learned. Number one, well, there's a lot more cars than there are cyclists. And number two, you'll never win against a car. The thing is that what we do is we have an opportunity to signal to others. I'm here to advocate for those who you won't hear of. They're the people who have yet to get on a bike. They're the ones that haven't even thought about it yet. Maybe they're a little overweight, don't think that getting on two wheels in traffic is a wise idea. I hear those. Maybe they don't have a goal yet. Maybe they haven't had to spend the time to understand what's available to them. They're the ones you won't hear from. They won't be in a report. They're going to still be in their car. But as they drive down Main and they look to their left and they see that parent named David, who every single morning, rain or shine, puts his 3 kids in the front of a bike, takes them all the way to the Ivy School where I drop my same kids off for preschool, when they see them, they're going to think a little differently next time. So I want you to reconsider your options. Look at option 3 again. And every time you go downtown or look on the side of the road and you see that one cyclist, just know that they'll never win against a car, ever. They're always trying to just be a little healthier and a little safer. And that's the thing that you can help us with. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Winnie, could you call 3 more? And no rush, but anybody that wants to do this in a minute, that's perfectly acceptable as well.
So, it looks
Is
like.
that, now can you hear me? Okay. My name is Sunny Spicer, Oregon Center for Creative Learning. I am here to join this large course of people that are expressing some concern around the decision around changing Main Street. Mainly, I'm here to represent the families that we serve. Like you, I have heard from so many that are unhappy with the current configuration. That said, of the hundreds of families we see every day, many of them do ride bicycles or walk or come with a scooter. And that's not because of choice for a lot of them, it's because that is their only form of transportation. And so when we put up additional barriers by removing that bike lane, we're creating a situation where there's lost opportunity for kids. We've worked really hard to build a center downtown that is very family friendly, very welcoming. If we make it feel less safe, families are going to be less likely to show up. And so on behalf of the many families that do bring you just heard from one, bring their children on a bike to preschool every day, I want to make sure that they still have those safe opportunities. And so please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. And did we call more? We call 3 more, please?
So it looks like Kiova, Stanley, Kara. I totally can't read. It looks
Kara.
like Baglo.
There we go.
Baylog, and Iger Baylog.
And yep, perfect. Go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Shannon Hawes, I'm in Ward 2. I'm also here to talk about the Main Street bike lanes and urging you to please reconsider. I've been a lifelong resident of Medford and I consider myself driver first, but in the last year I guess I'm now considered a cyclist. I don't know, that feels like a big word for me, but I do use the Main Street bike lanes. I do use our other existing bike lanes, and the reason I'm able to do that is because those bike lanes gave me the confidence to be willing to do that. And I work on Main Street. Not downtown Main Street, East Main, which is a different level of scary, but nonetheless, I use those bike lanes and those gave me the confidence to become a bike rider that one of our neighbors just talked about this evening. And so I just urge you to please reconsider. It feels financially irresponsible to do a $1 million option to begin with anyways, and also this feels like it's to go backwards and away from our council's plans and biennium goals and our downtown 2040 plan. This Main Street change, we need to keep the bike lane, keep downtown safe. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up.
Hi, I'm Kiova Staley. I live on Holly Street. First-time homeowner down there. I really believe in the downtown Medford area. I'm cheering for it. And I think we need to reconsider option 3. I think there was a reason that we all came together and decided that we needed to do something for bikers and pedestrians to make the downtown more safe and inviting. And just going backwards, back to how it was, back to the 3-lane, aggressive, fast driving in a downtown area that's not designed for that is not the way we want to go, hopefully. That's all.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kara Baylog, 19848 Spring Street, and I want to speak in favor of retaining the bike lanes as they are with minor changes, because yes, there are some safety issues, but I don't necessarily think, personally, option 3 is the way to go, although I don't want to be the enemy, I don't want the good to be the enemy of the perfect, or vice versa, sorry. 3 lanes tells us what Medford's priorities are. The priorities then are to get cars as quickly as possible through Medford. Medford becomes a place to go through instead of to be at. The biggest problem with the bike lane, although not the only problem, is that there's not enough connectivity throughout Medford in general. We come from Spring Street. We have a rather long ride. But it's not the only one. I admit I'm an early adopter. I rode through Medford before there was a bike lane, and I have rode during with my kids now. And while I was without my kids, I probably would have been okay with that. But your world changes when you have kids and you're looking at the bike lane from the perspective of your children. I ride with my daughter and my 2 sons. My son is 5 years old. He can go on that bike lane. Option 3, I would not have him on that bike lane. We go to the Children's Museum every week. Look for us. We're there on Thursdays. We go from their school down through Medford. We stop at a cafe. Sometimes we come back and we eat at a restaurant. Once that bike lane's gone, we will never do that again. We will not spend our money down there because it's too much of a hassle to get in a car and go down there. If we're going to go to the Children's Museum in our car, it means we're going to go just to the Children's Museum, and then we're going to leave because it's too much of a hassle. I do want to say I think there are some minor changes that could be made because we have had some close calls, and mostly that's on Main Street and Central. I think additions could be made to provide more of a gap between the bike lane and the road itself. When the turning point is at the same point that the bikes are waiting for the light, that's where it's dangerous. But where the places where there's enough of a space, a gap between the cars and the bikes, there's more of a chance for the driver to see us. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. And I think my daughter is going next.
Okay. Let's see how we can make the, oh yeah, no problem.
Hello, I am Iger Baylog, 1948 Spring Street, Medford, same as my mom. And I quite often ride my bike to school, and I really like how the bike lanes are a lot safer. And when the bike lanes are there, it's a lot safer, and also it's a lot better. And I quite often go to school on my bike because, well, I mean, it's super close. And if we didn't have that bike lane, it would be super unsafe. And it would be like I would have to either walk on the sidewalk or like have to drive there. But with the bike lanes, it really helps. And so I would really like to keep the bike lanes. Thank you.
Thank you. Winnie, can you call the next? Maybe we'll do 4. We got room.
Amanda Mankey, Nick DeAngelis, Brandon Sprague, and Phyllis Nelson.
Mayor Zarasinski, council members. My name is Amanda Meinke. I moved here 3 years ago. I'm a Ward 4 resident and homeowner on Ready Avenue. I work downtown and volunteer as a CASA for children in Jackson County. I also survived a biking accident in Medford that was caused by a lack of infrastructure. I am asking you to reconsider the Main Street bike lane decision. The survey that justified reversal had about 4,000 responses, but only 1,937 favored reversal. That's barely 2% of Medford's population. Councilmember Quinn said that we need to listen to the people, and I agree. But those people include the business owners, cyclists, staff experts, and state engineers who reviewed this design initially. There's also another cost. Any future citizen with an idea for this city will remember that Medford spent $1 million reversing a project that was working because of complaints. When I look at cities like Jacksonville, Ashland, or Bend, those are destinations, places that people vacation in, linger in, spend money in, and move to. Medford has every reason to be that city, but destinations happen because someone decides to build for the future. I chose to move to Medford. I want other people to choose it too. Young families, remote workers, people with options who are deciding where to put down roots. Those people are watching how cities make decisions, and they're asking whether progress here is real or provisional. This decision tells every future planner, don't bother, progress here is temporary. That doesn't have to be the story, and you can still reconsider. The compromise still exists, and choosing differently now isn't weakness, it's governing well. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nick DeAngelis, and I am the owner of the Retro Wormhole and Rogue Records and Music on Central Avenue in downtown Medford. As a downtown business owner, I wasn't sure how I felt about the bike lanes when they went in. At this point, I appreciate them, having survived a cycling accident actually in the city of Chicago on Milwaukee Avenue, having pretty close to fractured both my wrists and being unable to use my hands for a couple weeks as a result of that accident. So I would encourage us to stick with some form of cycling lane on Main Street. Option 3 seems like a great option. It also seems like the most fiscally responsible option. I don't like seeing what I'm just going to identify as fiscal irresponsibility and the waste of city funds. When we did that bike lane project downtown around the same time, there were some other initiatives to slow down traffic going through downtown Medford. On Central Avenue on Riverside, we decided to put a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit in a particular zone going through downtown and enforce it through these little fancy revenue-generating mechanisms that are on poles. That seemed to be working well. One question I would have is if we went back to 3 lanes on Main Street and we have no bike lane, does that mean we're going to have to put revenue generators on light poles on Main to slow traffic back down when we've already accomplished that by reducing it to 2 lanes and having bike lanes there? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, my name is Brendan Sprague. I live in Jacksonville. I think everyone else has been from Medford. So I want to give the kind of outside perspective. Someone else mentioned that Jacksonville and other places are destinations, and I think, making Medford more of a destination is something that can enable traffic, I think, or traffic to Medford. I think the removal of the 30 route and other routes from the Rogue Valley Transit and the bike lane, potential removal is kind of a 1-2 punch to accessibility to Medford. Looking at crowdsourced data from Ride with GPS shows that the bike lanes are the de facto way for bikes to navigate Medford safely today. And so speaking as a Jacksonville resident, the loss of those 2 things would be a tough punch. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Hey, Winnie, could you call 3 more, please?
It looks like Warren Kahn, Harlan Bittner, and Jackson Bangs.
All right, go ahead.
I'm Phyllis Nelson. I live at 2940 Fairview Drive. I'm a part owner of Main Street Market, 406 410 East Main, home of Pomodori, the Beatrice, the lovely bridal shop, and more. I urge you to revisit your decision to return Main Street to 3 lanes. I urge you to choose option 3. Option 3 solves the major problems with both the present configuration and option 1. It makes 2 lanes of traffic going over Bear Creek Bridge, thus minimizing the opportunity for getting doored. It moves parked cars to curbside with more room for people to enter and exit their cars safely. Having cars parked curbside makes it easier for people to see our lovely storefronts and get interested in stopping and shopping. It makes it easier to see oncoming traffic and pedestrians when pulling out of a side street or a driveway. It provides a bicycle lane. It does not necessitate paying back a $500,000 grant. And it creates a much friendlier atmosphere for downtown Medford. Therefore, I ask you to revisit option 3 and hopefully select that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Warren Kahn. I live up on Coleman Creek Road. I'm a resident now for 6.5 years. I moved from Northern California, and I'm an avid biker. I'm also an environmentalist, where I look to use my car less and less. And we've even gone to hybrid cars and electric vehicles. But the health of this community and one of the attractions to come to this area was it was bike friendly, that there were beautiful places to ride, and yet we've seen many accidents. And I'm in danger often from cars. And I would like to frequent downtown Medford more, but traffic is a consideration. When I look at the options that you had in that decision, option 3 seems like it meets quite a few of the considerations and saves the city $500,000 of payback. I'd really urge you to look at that consideration again, and I certainly would travel the Medford city streets a lot more if there was a designated bike lane. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jackson Bangs with 2385 Happy Valley Drive in Medford. I believe that Medford needs to keep its bike lane. In other words, keep option number 3. You saw the kids here. They need a safe way to get to and from school. You saw other people of my colleagues. They need a safe place to ride their bike around Medford. And I do not want to see $500,000 flushed down the toilet for no reason other than to make the streets more dangerous for more people. And you're talking about tourism dollars. You want tourism dollars? Make the Medford more bicycle friendly. People come to Medford to see the sights, not to drive through on a freeway. So basically, again, don't throw $500,000 in the trash. Keep the bike lane, keep Medford more accessible to everybody, including young children, and improve the revenue of the local businesses and keep the bike lane and support option number 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you call 3 more?
It looks like, I don't know if I called this person already, Harlan Bittner.
I'm right here.
Right there.
Ready to speak.
I can't read this. It looks like Philip Megan, Teresa Fernandez, and then we have the last one is Sky Reel.
So, Philip, Teresa, and I didn't catch the last one, but go ahead, sir.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, councilors, I'm Harlan Bittner, and I'm here representing the Siskiyou Valley Bicycle Club. But I'd also like to tell you that I'm a citizen of Medford, and it seems to me I pay a lot of taxes here. So I'm talking about Main Street, of course, and as you may recall, our club previously advocated for you to choose option 3, which met all requirements for traffic flow and provided a relatively safe buffered bike lane. However, your choice was, as we all talk about, to revert back to the previous configuration of 3 lanes of traffic, unneeded now and in the future according to your own staff analysis, and no bikes facilities. I don't consider Sharrows painted on a traffic lane to be a proper bike facility. As you well know, this decision will cost taxpayers $500,000 more than option 3 because of the grant that you have to pay back. Some of you 4 weeks ago spoke very eloquently in support of option 3, with well thought out reasons for that choice. The primary reason I heard from some of you why you didn't support option 3 was that you were voting for what your constituents wanted. I respect your reasoning, but I remind you that you heard from only some of your components. One person here tonight said maybe 2% of the Medford population. So I ask you to reconsider your decision and look not just at what some of your constituents express, but also consider what is best for Medford now and in the future. The city has laid out plans for Medford's future in various documents, such as the Transportation System Plan and the Downtown 2040 Plan and Multimodal Study. I have served on the Citizens Advisory Committee for some of these studies, and I know that returning Main Street to the way it was is inconsistent with those plans. Please reconsider your decision, and thank you very much.
Thank you. And next?
Hey there, good evening. I'm Philip McVan. This is my son Ezra. We recently opened a business downtown providing upholstery service, custom sewing, things like that. However, we've been accessing downtown for over a couple of years, most recently almost daily by way of the bike lanes, teaching him safe travel. Also, recognizing that the bike lane provides us almost a connective tissue for a series of commerce, a number of connections, a vitality of joining neighbors with all kinds of wonderful kind of run-ins, and the pace at which the bike lane provides safe travel and a viable corridor to support local business as well as foster authentic relationships is a pace that we want to ask that you all consider maintaining. And by doing away with the bike lanes altogether, it really takes a lot away from what the community is capable of fostering. So please reconsider on the number 3 option. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And did we have one more, Winnie? 2 more.
Hi, my name is Teresa Fernandez. I'm on Table Rock Road. I support number 3, but that's not why I came to speak here tonight. It's about extreme weather. I am ashamed to be living in Medford. If there's precipitation, I learned this year that the threshold for temperature is 32 degrees, which we've had with the snow, and the shelters are open. But when there's no precipitation, 7 years ago, the Council of Medford put into place a 25-degree temperature threshold. And I would like to ask the council members and the mayor, have any of you slept outside in 25-degree weather without state-of-the-art equipment, which most homeless people do not possess? That is very cold. I looked up some stats, and northern states like Minnesota and Wisconsin, their thresholds might be at 25 because they have colder winters than we do. But we're not like that. But the last 2 Februaries, we've had that. Last year, when we had the snow that stayed in place, I drove north to all the way south on Central because I had to pick up prescriptions, and then back up Riverside. And the sidewalks were full with snow, and they had iced over. People were struggling. Elders were struggling. They had fear in their eyes that they were going to fall. It wasn't days before some of the businesses started getting the snow shoveled away. And I saw on the website today that there was an ordinance, and I don't know if it was enacted in December 2025 or if there's always been one, but that business owners are responsible 2 hours after daylight to go out and shovel the snow or clear the sidewalks. And that hasn't been happening in the past. We might have it tomorrow. Will the police be enforcing that ordinance in our city? Pedestrians deserve respect. Thank you.
All right, so one last one. I think you're a late entry, so we'll
Right, last
go as
one.
quick as we can here.
Okay. Hi, good evening, council and mayor. I just want to publicly thank you guys again for giving me the opportunity last meeting to, pitch this idea for a free show. I'm just going to announce that I got the 1,000 albums sold, and I want to thank Rich for confirming the Pear Blossom Park for that. I'm excited, but this inspired me to just really put myself out there for the community more, and I have this idea now to organize a giveaway in the Native culture. We do a lot of giveaways. That's something that we believe in. So I want to see if the community will do a free clothing giveaway, blanket giveaway, and hygiene giveaway for the homeless and people in need, families that have a hard time getting the right clothes for their kids, or just anybody, I started this idea online on my socials, Skyreal, you can find me anywhere. And I already have a lot of people willing to donate clothes, but then I started realizing it's a lot of clothes. And so I was wondering if I can get support from the council and from the community, if we can have drop locations and then a set place for this, and then maybe a temporary permit for food vendors so we can feed the homeless and people in need, because we're talking about downtown and these bike paths, and like, you know, it's hard to enjoy it when we're getting overwhelmed of the homeless population and just seeing people on the streets abusing drugs and stuff. So, you know, me personally, it's like my calling to kind of just step up in the community and try to make a difference any way I can. So I don't really know where to start. So I came here to, you know, I figured this is a good place to start, trying to connect and, you know, link with business owners to support them and do free promos. Also, just trying to rally a community to show more love and support to each other, you know, and that's why I came here tonight. So thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, we are moving on to agenda item 50. I did look, by the way, this is a fairly quick council meeting. If you guys want to stay and see how that works, it wouldn't be that dramatic. I did look at the urban renewal agenda. I don't know if it would be riveting, but if you are interested in downtown and urban renewal, that will come immediately after. So if that is not appealing, just leave quietly. And then, but again, thank you all for coming out and sharing your thoughts. We appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Kevin Stein.
Hi. I would like to move that we have a study session on Main Street on March 11th.
How about we take that up at, unless there's a second, if there's not a second, we can take that up at the end of the meeting during go to the order. But for right now, do you guys really
Okay, we
want
can
to
talk about
debate all
later.
this right now? Yeah, we'll just wait for the end, Kevin. I appreciate that. We have all received the draft minutes from the February 4th, 2026 regular meeting. Does anyone have any revisions or corrections to those minutes?
I already reviewed them and made some corrections.
So we have the corrected minutes?
You have the corrected minutes. They're all set to go.
Perfect. All right. In light of the corrected minutes, those minutes as provided will stand. On to agenda item 60, consent calendar. There are 2 items on the consent calendar tonight. Mr. Mitten?
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 60.1 is Council Bill 2026-012. There is an updated Sourcewell contract number for this. So the updated ordinance title is an ordinance approving and authorizing the purchase of a Pierce Velocity pumper in the amount of $1,250,517 through the cooperative purchase agreement with Sourcewell, utilizing contract number 082025 PMI. Everything is the same except for the Sourcewell contract number with that. And then 60.2 is Council Bill 2026-013, a resolution authorizing Public Works to submit an application for build planning grant funding for the South Stage Extension Project to advance National Environmental Policy Act review and other pre-construction activities.
All right, thank you. I will entertain a moment.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. All right, motion and second. Items to be removed?
I just want to clarify, though, the motion incorporates the change indicated by staff, Nick. Your motion incorporates the change indicated by staff.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Winnie, could we have roll call, please?
Nick Card,
Yes.
Mike Kurlinger,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers. Yes. Zach Smith,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
and Kevin Keating.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, that passes. Ordinances, resolutions. There are 2 items for consideration tonight. 80.1, Mr. Mitten?
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 80.1 is Council Bill 2026-14, an ordinance approving and authorizing the Addison Park Development and Donation Agreement in the amount of $749,999 with Addison Park LLC and the Medford Parks and Recreation Foundation.
All right. Does anyone have a need for a staff report on this item or have a question for staff? Mr. Kurlinger?
I mean, I just have a question. I don't need a full staff report, I don't think. But we've used this process for other developments in the past, right? It's a way of just partnering with the development to make sure there's a park there. Great.
Thank you, Councilor. Rich Rosenthal, your Parks Recreation Facilities Director. The Parks and Recreation Foundation and the city have partnered on park acquisition twice before, Summerfield Park and Village Center Park. Addison Park is a little bit different because the developer is going to construct the first phase of park development.
All right, other questions? Thank you, Rich. How about a motion? Mr. Card.
I move to approve Council Bill 2026-14.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on your motion, Mr. Card?
I just want to make a comment, sort of echoing what Rich was saying. This has been a really great process for us to have the Parks and Rec Foundation be able to partner with us. I'm assuming the $749,999 is due to prevailing wage concerns. And so that helps. This is a way for us to get really much cheaper dollars than if we spend it ourselves into and to convert those dollars into parkland. This is a great program, and so this is a no-brainer for me.
Great. Further discussion? All right. Winnie, will you call the roll, please?
Nick Card.
Yes.
Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
Garrett West.
Yes.
Mike Kurlinger.
Yes.
Kevin Keating.
Yes.
And John Quinn.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right. That passes. 80.2.
Item 80.2 is Council Bill 2026-015. There's two options, both with the same resolution title. A resolution approving, adopting, and authorizing award of the City of Medford's General Fund Grant Program funding allocations for the 2025 through 2027 biennium.
Great. We did have a study session on this item. Is there any questions for staff on this? You have a motion. So we know there's going to be, well, that's fine. Nick, have your motion.
I move to approve Council Bill 2026-15, Option 1A.
I second the motion.
So by Mr. Card, seconded by Mr. West. Care to speak?
I'd like to speak to the motion, thank you. Basically, like as Mike said, we had a study session. So for those who really want to dive into this, there's a lot of details in previous meetings. But the short version is we have some extra money, and there was discussion about how do we want to allocate these funds. And after the discussion, in my opinion, there are lots of really good causes that need money in this valley. And while there is some wisdom in terms of holding some funds back to be able to provide additional funding at some point in the future for that really amazing thing that comes up, the reality is we have those amazing things now. And in my opinion, we should be spending the entirety of the balance on these amazing projects that we have before us. These are things that are helping people, helping people survive, providing assistance to get people out of homelessness, taking care of kids, taking care of shelter, providing basic needs, food and friends. I mean, the list of these are amazing items, and I just don't see a reason. In fact, if I had extra money, I think I'd give more money to all of these causes. So option 1A, exhaust the funds that we have available to these incredible causes for our community.
Mr. West?
So normally, I would be in favor of withholding some of these funds in reserve in case there were any additional causes that came up over the time period. But because of the extraordinary need our community has at the moment, I am in favor of spending the total amount because I think it's an emergency. And I think it's a crisis that means we should apply all the resources we have available to ensure that people have shelter and can eat and be safe. So I'll be voting in favor. Thank you.
Kevin Stein, I'm not trying to call you out, but did you have anything you wanted to say on this?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Quinn?
It's more on the line of a disclosure than anything. I'm president of the board of directors of RVCOG, and they're one of the would-be recipients through the Food and Friends program, which is an excellent way to get food to and prevent isolation of elders in the community. I gain nothing personally by how this vote comes out. I have no conflict, but I thought I would just share that with everyone in case anyone has any questions.
And I'll disclose a conflict as well. My law partner's wife runs the Family Nurturing Center. I don't have any financial benefit from this, and I have formally represented On Track with things. They receive funds. I did not put On Track on this list, but I want to make sure all these things are funded. Thank you.
I also would like to disclose that Mayor Zarazinski and I are on the Board of Access, who is also receiving funds on this list. However, we are unpaid board members with no financial gain.
And I will tag on to that. I see that, oh, I thought I saw, is CASA not on here? Yeah, CASA of Jackson County. My wife is a board member on that as well. And yeah, there's no conflict.
And just for the sake of the record, everything I've heard, I'm concurring. There's nothing here that requires recusal from the vote, nothing that's considered a conflict of interest under Oregon law.
Okay. Other discussion? Mr. Curlinger.
I have similar crossings of paths with multiple organizations on here, none of which I benefit from financially.
Okay.
I like some of the people on here. Is that?
Okay, I think we're good.
Let's do it.
Wendy, will you call the roll, please?
Nick Card.
Yes.
Garrett West.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
Kevin Keating.
Yes.
And Mike Curlinger.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, that passes, and we move on to agenda item 90, public hearings. But before beginning the public hearing, I'd like to remind everyone that the rules of decorum previously outlined are still applicable. Violation of the decorum policy may result in your removal from chambers. This evening, we have one land use legislative hearing. If you'd like to speak during this hearing, please complete a blue public comment form to be called forward. Comments for administrative or legislative hearings are limited to 4 minutes per individual, group, or organization. Agenda item 90.1, Mr. Mitten.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 90.1 is Council Bill 2026-16, an ordinance approving an amendment to the Medford Comprehensive Plan, revising the adopted urbanization plan for Planning Unit MD3C, Autumn Hills, in the neighborhood element of the comprehensive plan for 6 tax lots totaling approximately 143.35 acres, bounded by McLaughlin Drive on the west, North Foothill Road on the east, and the future alignment of Owen Drive on the north. This is land use legislative.
May we have staff report, please? I had to look at my paper to say that sentence, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Dustin Sievers with the Planning Department. I'm presenting the staff report. This is a proposed revision to the urbanization plan for Autumn Hills. So for the criteria, is found in the neighborhood element of the comprehensive plan, and the full criteria are included in your staff reports. This is a type 4 legislative decision. City Council is the final approving authority. Planning Commission provides a recommendation. And at the hearing held on January 22nd, 2026, they did forward a favorable recommendation for the proposal. Begin by looking at the project summary. So the subject site is located on the north edge of city limits. It consists of 6 contiguous tax lots. As you can see, it is bounded by McLaughlin Drive on the west side, North Foothill on the east side, and the future extension of Owen Drive. These are all higher order streets. All these parcels are vacant with the exception there is a single family residence at the northeast. They take access off North Foothill Road. Site's general land use plan designations include urban residential, urban high density residential, urban medium density residential, and commercial. And the underlying zonings are SFR 00, SFR 6, 10. It also has some MFR 20. And the proposal is to revise the urbanization plan for the Autumn Hills, which was approved back in 2021. To give you a brief history of the urbanization plan for Autumn Hills, it was approved and adopted by this body in 2021. That same meeting, they did also annex all the properties in the city, and the zoning was changed from Jackson County exclusive farm use to the SFR 00 holding zone. Look at the top right-hand corner of the screen, you see that the urbanization plan included certain metrics that were required to provide 16% or 25 acres of open space, and that was accomplished by essentially outlining or enclosing the the wetland areas on the property, as well as a 19-acre opportunity site at the southwest corner, which is was planned to be used as a future school. They're required to provide a minimum of 733 residential units, including single family as well as multifamily. And as far as the streets, they're required to extend Owen Drive along the north, along with part of McLaughlin Drive, and they're also required to provide a north-south street right in the middle, bisecting the property, which is proposed, I believe the name was Fairfax Street. So since that time, there has been a lot of land use actions in this planning unit. There's been several zone changes. There's also been a couple land divisions. So Autumn Hills Phase 1 and 2 was approved in 2021. And as you can see, it is basically all built out at this point. And in May of 2025, Autumn Hills Phases 3 through 11 was tentatively approved for 136 units. They have not received final plat yet on that. We anticipate that will come through eventually. I should point out that Autumn Hills Phase 1 and 2 included 71 lots. Look at issues and analysis. So they were proposing a revision. Despite all the paperwork, is actually fairly simple. So since 2021, they came across new information. Notably, they had a wetland delineation done on the property, which the firm they hired identified the wetlands largely within the center of the property, whereas the wetland inventory showed them a different area. So that's the primary reason why they had to change up the layout of the urbanization plan. They also took advantage of this opportunity to make some other minor tweaks to the plan. So generally, they're proposing to change the glut map. They're also proposing to change the open space, as well as the circulation plan, and they'll also discuss a little bit about residential density. So I'll go through each of these in turn real quick. First, look at the changes to the glut maps. As you can see, they're going to retain the two commercial nodes at the northeast and northwest. They're just expanding them slightly and kind of modifying their layout. They're also adding a urban high-density residential area to the north. And they'll be removing the urban medium density, which was previously in the south east corner, and moving that to the north. And they'll be dispersing the SFR 10 zoning district to provide some more variety in the different type of housing they have throughout the urbanization plan. Moving along to the changes to the open space. So this is all about the wetland delineation. Again, they hired a firm. They found that the wetlands are largely located in the center. So they want to continue to have the proposed open land be the same as the wetlands as a possible future park, which necessitated the change to the open space plan. And in regards to the proposed 19-acre opportunity zone, again, it was intended to be a school. They did reach out to the school district. Ultimately, that didn't work out. They didn't show interest. Any further details on those discussions, I will defer to the applicant's agent, who can speak further to it. But ultimately, you can see they are going to maintain or exceed that minimum open space requirements with these changes. And next, we'll look at the circulation plan. Again, this is all about the wetlands. So in order to limit the impact of the wetlands, you can see they've had to eliminate several mostly east-west streets. So this revised plan was reviewed by both the Parks Department as well as the Public Works Department. They took no exception to the proposed revised circulation plan. And finally, density, you can see they are still going to far exceed the minimum density requirement, which again was established at 733 units. So with that, for findings and recommendations. So the applicant's findings, they thoroughly address all the applicable criteria. And again, they continue to exceed the requirement of 16% or 25 acres of open space. They're also well above the minimum number of units required. And again, the circulation plan continues to show the extension of Owen Drive, McLaughlin Drive, and the future construction of Fairfax Street. And once again, the Planning Commission did forward a favorable recommendation at the public hearing held on January 22nd. So with that, I can take questions, and we have Mr. Jay Harlan, the applicant's agent of CSA Planning. He can answer some questions as well. Thank you.
Mr. Kroninger?
Potentially dumb question, like many of mine. But here on the proposed GLUP, we have like the commercial is kind of adjusting and getting a little bit larger, but also overlapping directly with some of the open space. Would there be no buildings constructed on that open space? The zoning's just changing to accommodate percentages or something?
Yeah, there's some minor changes to it, and there is some overlap. I'll let Mr. Harlan address that. And there'll also be some because they did modify the GLUP change. They also had to do some zone changes to make sure the zoning and the GLUP changes, the GLUP designations are consistent.
Independent of the applicant's intent, could they build a commercial building on a thing here that's identified as open space or wetland?
No, I believe that open spaces will strictly be required to be open space.
Other questions? All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
At this point, I will open the public hearing. We can hear from the applicant and/or applicant's agent.
Good evening, Council. For the record, Jay Harlan with CSA Planning with offices at 4497 Brown Ridge here in Medford. Well, I left out the and AKS company. Keep forgetting that. 20 years of doing it the same way. But I just want to briefly, I think, as usual, Dustin did a good job of explaining it. I'm really here tonight because I promised Carl McNair I wouldn't plat any more streets that didn't line up with the circulation plan. So I would like to get that fixed. And so, yeah, really there's a couple things. One is, yeah, some of those, there was some overlap of open space and commercial before and on the new plan. What I would say about that is the open space under the RPS plan doesn't necessarily mean no building. You can't like build a strip mall, right, or a hotel, but certain public uses like schools, churches, and things like that, those can go in the open space areas and still count the way that's done. So just point of clarification there. But other than that, yeah, it's, Dustin described it well, which is really, it's kind of funny. The city did the 10,000 foot, where are the wetlands? During the UGB process, spatially off by quite a bit, but acreage wise, not off by a lot. So it worked out okay. If it would have been way off, then it would have been like, I don't know, how do we make the spreadsheets work or whatever, but it ended up being roughly similar, just in different locations, and especially getting the circulation plan updated so future land divisions actually, the streets are lining up with where the city has them planned would be beneficial, and I think Public Works would be happy about that. So I'm happy to answer any additional questions that the council has.
Any question for the applicant's agent? Mr. Card?
I'm going to make you earn your paycheck today. How are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. So looking at this plan, just so I'm making sure I understand everything that's in here, really it's like the primary shift is that the residential and the commercial sort of just shifting around a bit as you're dealing with the wetland spaces changing.
Yeah,
I mean, is that kind of a pretty
the
good
commercial
summary
I
of
would
that?
call more tweaking, right?
Okay,
As
yeah.
we've started laying actual stuff out, there's little,
Sure.
relatively small acreage adjustments, right? The bigger changes, land use wise, is moving. We really ultimately decided to not do the medium density all the way at Foothills and what I think is, I can't remember what we're calling that street on the south end. It's like
the Harlan Street? Or?
It is definitely not. No, and that will never happen. One of these days, we do need a Thrusten Street, since Bev in my office, I think, has laid out a third of the streets in Medford over the last 20 years. But I don't know, one of the
basically I was just
on the south there. We're not on the south. In the southeast corner of that UM, it's fairly steep there. Ultimately, we got to looking at it and going, it's going to be kind of hard to build townhouses on that steeper land, so single family probably makes more sense. And then now that kind of the way the wetlands work is they kind of go around the outside of the open space, so you can't really get to the developable portion in the middle. So the idea is we would have more like, more developed park in the middle surrounded by wetlands, that we can't really touch, which is pretty cool actually. And so then to us it made sense to put more of the multifamily right near that future park open space area. So we moved the UM up along Owen, which is an arterial, and then also moved some of the high density up there, and then what we are requesting is in the southwest corner there by the school, creating a little sort of half transition block where it goes single family, townhouse, then multifamily, which I think is a good land use pattern to kind of have that transition from lowest intense, medium intensity, highest intensity residential use. So those are the changes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone wishing to speak on this subject or this matter may come forward, and you would simply introduce yourself and give your testimony. All right, seeing none, public hearing's closed. Do we have a motion? Mr. Card.
I move to approve Council Bill 2026-16.
In a second.
Second.
Fine. Jessica Ayers. Any discussion, Mr. Card?
I'm sorry, say that again, Mr.
Any
Mayor.
discussion?
Any discussion? I heard any suggestions, and I'm like, well, I made a motion, so. Any discussion? No, this makes a lot of sense. It's all compatible, compliant, blah, 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 all the good things. And as one of the things that I keep saying is, I think Medford is open for business. We want to see development happen, and we're happy to work with developers who, as things change underneath their project, hey, that's the nature of the beast. So let's make this happen.
Anyone else? Well said. Winnie, will you call the roll, please?
Nick Card.
Yes.
Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
Kevin Keating.
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Mike Kurlinger.
Yes.
And Garrett West.
Abstain.
We have 7 yes and 1 abstention.
All right, that passes. Council business, I have no proclamations, so we will go straight to council officers.
Well, okay. So we talked about a few things tonight. First thing was speed limit and or feedback signs in downtown. The result of that discussion was that some information is going to be distributed because one counselor did ask about the numbers that verified that 20 miles per hour is a huge safety improvement over 25 miles per hour. We do have that data. Also, there's an upcoming meeting with the CMO. We'll meet with police and public works to evaluate our entire photo speed enforcement program. Number 2, the USL LOI amendment. I don't know if we can get any more acronyms in there.
All those mean?
We do have a memorandum that was provided to us, giving a breakdown of staff involvement to extend the USL LOI. And it really results in not a ton of staff involvement. So the CMO is looking for a thumbs up on us moving forward with the extension of the USL LOI. So may I see a motion of thumbs up?
What's the ETA of the USL LOI?
We're extending for, you're such a turd. So, did you get that, John? Okay. Next. You're fired. Rogue River Valley Irrigation District project. We're continuing the discussion of water reuse at the water treatment plant with Rogue River Valley Irrigation District. They're getting ready to put some information out to their patrons about this potential project and get some feedback before they invest any more money in it. There is an ask. The city and Rogue River Valley Irrigation District are looking at doing a letter of support to send to the governor's office requesting partnership for this pilot project. I imagine you also want a thumbs up on that.
We're asking the mayor to sign it as long as the mayor is authorized to sign it and council's okay with that.
And I guess just to follow up, what it's really saying is there are complicated water use laws, and these type of reuse that they're talking about is not just traditional land application. It might take a little bit of work with, this is with DEQ, but I would not be shocked if it's water resources as well when it all gets said and done. So it's, I guess eventually just starting to work through the process if reuse is viable for that irrigation district to begin in that. I will also note, and maybe, actually, and Nick can maybe speak to his, about the only concerns that we really discussed is this water an actual, becomes a commodity, making sure that we're looking out for Medford's best interest in the long term as far as sharing that.
Yeah. So just briefly, when we complete the wastewater treatment, it will be producing Class A water. And so the fact that we can do stuff with our community today to put that water to good use, to help our agriculture, those are all really good things. But there's also potential in the future that this Class A water may be significantly more valuable to our community in ways that we can't imagine. If water scarcity becomes a serious issue, or if serious water consumers move into our valley, our ability to sort of bring to market a massive amount of Class A water could be a thing that helps reduce our ratepayers' costs when it comes to cleaning this water. And so while I'm very excited about this opportunity, what I personally am is trying to make sure is we don't end up in some kind of a forever contract where we're creating a de facto water right for some kind of irrigation district or whatever we're doing with this. We're treating this as a marketable product that can do good things for our community today, but we're not locking ourselves in a way that we're not going to be able to use this water to solve the problems that we can't possibly imagine today, those problems that come 50 plus years from now for our community.
Thank you for bringing that up. Any more questions on that topic? Okay. And then lastly, have to make a change to our regional rate committee. The mayor, it currently exists, the mayor and Nick sit on that committee, and the mayor has made himself ineligible to serve on that committee. And so Garrett will continue to be the alternate, but I am appointing myself to replace the mayor on that committee.
With everyone's blessing.
And with Nick. I'll keep Nick on there.
Wow, how generous.
Yeah.
A point of order, Mr. Mitten, is that something that has to be ratified by council, or does council president have unilateral authority to appoint liaisons?
I think that's a council vote. I'd have to double check, but I don't want to get in the way of progress here, but.
Well, I'll make the motion that Jessica is the second seated member for the regional rate committee.
Second.
We can do this via voice vote unless this is a contested appointment.
All those in favor of me?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
All opposed, you have to call for a vote.
If anybody opposes, they're getting put on the committee.
I'm abstaining.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain too because I'm on the RVSS board.
Okay.
No, you're right. Take it back. I'm officially abstained, as in I don't get a vote.
Are we good, Mr. Mitten?
So yeah, just for the record, for Winnie's sake, we had abstentions from Mr. Quinn, and Mayor, you don't get to abstain because you don't get to vote, but yeah, everyone else was a yes.
But do I get
Garrett,
to vote for
didn't you
myself?
abstain?
Okay.
Oh.
All right, let's move on to committee reports. Does anyone have any committee reports to share? Mr. Curlinger.
The housing, oh my God, I'm going to embarrass myself.
Housing and Community Development Commission.
Housing Community Development Commission, thank you. We met last week. They did their election of chair and vice chair. They made a motion to pass along a favorable recommendation for some additional CDGB funds for Hearts with a Mission. They are passing along a favorable recommendation for NCLPT certifications. And yesterday, and probably right now, they are hearing grant proposals from different communities. We'll have a recommendation from them in the near future.
Anyone else? No? Oh, okay. What? Yeah, we have a couple board appointments, actually 3. So the first is the Hospital Facilities Authority Board. There are 2 vacancies on this board, and Amy Zarazinski was interviewed for one of the positions. So, I mean, I can make a motion, right? Yeah. I would like to appoint Amy Zarazinski to the Hospital Facilities Authority Board with the term beginning immediately and ending January 31st, 2031.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, number 2, the Vision Implementation Committee at-large position. There are 3 vacancies on the Vision Implementation Committee. A previous member, Al Densmore, has applied to serve in an at-large position. So I would also like to appoint Al Densmore to the Vision Implementation Committee with a term beginning immediately and ending January 31st, 2029.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
On Vic, don't we, other than that?
Yes, we still have other vacancies.
There were 3, so now there's 2.
I thought that's what I heard. I just wanted to confirm that I
Yes,
heard
sir.
correctly.
Good point. And lastly, is the big one. You took my, hey, that's mine.
I'm sorry.
Jeez. Is the Planning Commission. We have 1 partial term vacancy on the Planning Commission. 4 applications were received. Priti Patel, Chris Payton, Hal Wing, and Marcy Pierce. So I assume this one we're going to actually do a paper vote.
Well, I think a little discussion on this, at least for myself, would be helpful because I did not attend the first interviews. I did read through all of them, and I guess here's how I'll start: is they all seem completely qualified and would be great for this role. As I look at this, I'm trying to figure out how do the puzzle pieces work the best. And so I'm thinking Priti Patel is on budget, right? So I feel like Marcy's been on SPAC. She's been on SPAC a long time, but I think as an architect, that's a great place for an architect, particularly when we get stuck with, a lot of times it's industry required positions, if you will. So that leaves us with Chris Payton and Hal Wing, who I again, reading Hal's biography, whatever. His application, his resume, thank you. What is that, curriculum vitae or vitae? Clearly a strong background in planning. And Chris, I think, could fill a lot. But there was discussion, so here's my long story longer. You had discussion about Chris Payton and interest in vision. Is there a gap that he could fill on the vision committee? I believe it was your question on that. Which one would you prefer?
That's pretty tough. I mean, Marcy probably has a lot of qualifications for planning. Chris's community involvement is awesome. We need to put him somewhere good.
Did you talk to him about Vic?
I thought that was a question that came up, though, during the interview.
He would be interested in it based on his application. And he's also just a guy who wants to help. He's a team player.
So I'm the one who actually got Chris to apply. I've been twisting his arm for a while to get him involved because I think the world of Chris and his community spirit. I echo what you said. His community spirit is absolutely second to none. And so Chris is the kind of guy who he is community first. He'll do whatever. I mean, so if we have a good place for him, I think he'll absolutely listen to whatever we say. I am personally in favor of seeing a guy like Chris on planning. I think as a local business owner with the connections to the community, that brings a different kind of flavor that we don't normally have on planning. And so I'd like to see someone like Chris on planning. I think he'd be a good fit for that. But I don't think he would bat an eye at anything because, again, I think the world of him, and he is a community first kind of a guy.
Mr. Mayor?
Kevin. And then Garrett.
Thank you. I don't think we've ever had as strong as candidates for Planning Commission ever. I mean, it is kind of interesting how all at once we have incredibly qualified candidates to fill any role, but trying to get really good candidates for planning can be difficult, and somehow we got a bunch all at once. I've known Chris Payton for really since he came here. He's a Navy veteran. We did funeral services together. He's an amazing man. And I'm happy to put him generally almost anywhere that he wants to volunteer his time, because he already volunteers a lot of his time doing other things. And if he wants to do it for the city, I'm happy to do that. However, Marcy Pierce, I understand that she's already doing a job, but she did mention in those interviews that there's times that things come before SPAC in such a way that she doesn't get the input on it that she wishes that she had. I understand that would leave a hole at SPAC with her unique qualifications, but as I was telling Mr. Curlinger, sometimes you got to bring up someone from the minor leagues to the major leagues. No disrespect to SPAC, but I think having our best people and our most important commission is the right way to go. So while I wouldn't disagree with anyone that gets there, I think Marcy Pierce is our best candidate. Thank you.
Nick, do you happen to know whether we have a spot open on Vic, number one? And then does anyone know, is Marcy the only architect on SPAC?
So we have 2 openings on Vic. However, we also have, so part of the challenge that we have with Vic is the process before was so out of sync with all the rest of the stuff. We've been playing a little bit of catch up to try to get people involved. I know of at least 3 people who are currently actively involved with Vic who want to stay with Vic. So while we may have technical openings, I really don't think Al's just the guy who actually, because he's a retired guy who's responsible and doesn't have a bunch of other responsibilities. I think that's why Al got his application in first, but we have others who are involved. So while, maybe we can't get any of these people to stick around, they have expressed to me a desire to stick around. So I would consider those spots, practically filled, functionally filled.
Well, I also had a question in case anyone on staff knows whether Marcy is the only architect on SPAC.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Kelly Aiken. Commissioner Pierce is in an at-large position.
Thank you.
Well, here's a rub. And I guess it can work out just fine. We have 2 other people fully qualified, I think, to assume an at-large role on SPAC. If Marcy was deemed probably the most appropriate to go to planning, let's just say. Is there any reason to delay until we kind of square this away more, or are you guys all comfortable if it's Marcy moving up that we do reach out to Chris and Hal and find there's an at-large position that either one of them could fill, and maybe one that does meet during the day, so maybe one won't work, but I just want to have a plan here.
I don't see a reason to delay. As far as architect, on planning, we have Mr. McKechnie, who's an architect, and we have Mr. Beskow, who's an engineer, and they've both forgotten more than we've ever known, maybe with the exception perhaps of Mr. Zarazinski, although about architecture and engineering. So their planning is already fairly covered with that. I guess SPAC isn't, other than Marcy, if that's how I understood Kelly's answer. The opposite?
There's an architect position on SPAC, and she is just an at-large, so there is another architect.
So architecture is covered in both bodies, so that does not make it easier. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just throw in a word for Hal. All 4 of these candidates are eminently qualified. I understand that. One thing that I think Hal does have going for him is his enthusiasm for the role and the fact that he's recently retired. I know that Chris and Marcy are both, working. And so that puts me in favor of Al, I think.
I did want to echo Mr. Stein's comments from earlier. I think this is a phenomenal, we had
Good problem to have.
an opening and we decided to put a pause on it to ask for more applicants, and that was a very smart decision I think we made, because we just have 3 candidates that are just wonderful. I'm in favor, I think, of moving Ms. Pierce to planning, and then asking Mr. Payton and Mr. Wing about a position at SPAC or what other openings we have at the city.
Yeah.
More, but there's more. Curlinger.
Are we ready for a motion?
Well, what do you want?
Do we have an updated list of our openings on the website? Okay. The reason why I was to the point of what do we do with these other fine candidates. So I know you've been keeping one. I just. Because there were quite a few on there. So anyway, I think the point being is we don't need to deal with this here, but we have more openings, we have good candidates, we're gonna make sure we close the loop on that and try to figure out how to put whoever doesn't end up involved. So I'm confident that we can get people in good places.
Thank you. Winnie, can you call a vote on this one, please? Well,
No, we just need to call, each person gets called and they pick one person.
yeah.
So Jessica Ayers,
Pierce.
Nick Card,
Pierce.
Kevin Keating,
Wing.
Mike Curlinger,
Pierce.
John Quinn,
Peyton.
Zach Smith,
Pierce.
Kevin Stein,
Pierce.
Garrett West,
Pierce.
and Mayor Zarasinski.
Patel.
Okay. So we have 6 for Pierce, 1 for Wing, 1 for Peyton, and 1 for Patel.
So we've appointed Marcy Pierce to the partial term on the Planning Commission with a term beginning immediately and ending January 31st, 2030.
And so that creates a new opening on SPAC.
Well, because she can't be on both.
We don't normally not.
Have staff check with the 2 people about an at-large position there, plus maybe another spot for one of the other 2.
Yep, so we're going to go ahead and check with the 2 applicants, Peyton and Wing, about potential SPAC openings. And I think we need to get Vic filled up too, if we've got people waiting in the wings for Vic.
We have our next VIC meeting the week after we get back from DC, and so we'll make sure that that all gets solved with Vic, because just part of the cleanup. I'm looking at KJ as staff liaison here, so. His application includes Vic, but like I said, there are others who are current Vic members of positions that we sort of got rid of, and so I want to make sure that they, who are already actively engaged, have first right of refusal. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, I think that's it for my portion. Back to you, Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. Bile.
President Ayers, or the mayor, we did have a motion earlier in the meeting from Councilor Stein regarding a potential study session that was delayed.
Let me, sorry.
I would do this.
I'll be
I
back
would
in
do it at the
person
very
next
end,
week.
Kevin.
I would like to have a maybe council officer discussion, if that's okay for next week, and then we'll figure it out if that works.
No, 100%. That works better for me.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bile, staff reports.
So we do have one staff report. If you remember last month, we had a presentation regarding our council goals, and then we had a discussion afterwards regarding public engagement for the council. And we had a lengthy discussion regarding citizens academies, town halls, socials, and kind of council liked everything. And so KJ has been putting some work together to try to narrow that down to everything to hopefully a program that you can support. So with that, KJ, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. Christina Wilson, Communications and Government Relations Director. Thanks for the intro, John. Yes, we were here last month talking about council town halls, city talk events, Citizen Academy. We heard lots of opinions and new options. So tonight we're talking about council town halls. I have a little brief update on the other two things that came up during that discussion, but wanted to primarily talk about this and make sure that we're all on board with this plan. So as a reminder, since 2021, we've been doing council town halls. Last year, we did 2 instead of the 4 in the previous 2 years. Our format has been the same. We know that people have enjoyed it because we saw that try to form at our city talk events, but a panel format featuring the mayor, city councilors, multiple department heads. And it's kind of a merge with themes. We've done emergency preparedness was last year. We've done homelessness in the past. We've done transportation and housing for 1 year. So we did discuss last month about some ideas on basically the format of how we'd like to see it, as well as we have some information on a theme for this year. So with that, there's a lot of discussion last month talking about city talk events, liking that casual atmosphere and trying to bring that into the panel format. So with that, we're looking at extending our town hall and starting at 5:30 instead of 6. That 5:30 to 6 will be kind of a meet and greet. They can talk with their elected officials, they can talk to department heads, and then we'll get the panel going at 6 p.m. and take that to 7:30. Typically, we don't get out of there until past 8, just from other conversations, and that's completely, that's a great opportunity to connect with individuals. But so we're looking at starting at 5:30, to 6, having the community meet and greet, and then we'll do the 6 to 7:30 panel, as we've done in the past, and then we'll work from there. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That's great. Okay, so theme this year, talking about your council goals are, you guys talk a lot about neighborhoods and safety, streets, and parks are all topics that we know that residents are heavily engaged in. So we figured that we can talk about some current city initiatives on all of these 3 topics, but also that this will be an engaging opportunity for people to come out and speak to you and address anything that they would like to during that time. So are you guys okay with this? Yes.
As long as John wears a vest and a hard hat, I'm totally okay with this.
He's got to now. He's stuck with us for a while, so I'm down. So next steps, you'll be receiving a doodle poll from me this week. I will start bothering you next week if I haven't heard back, just because we need to start kind of looking at some dates, getting that into, I'm aiming for late April through May for the 2 town hall events. It just takes some finagling with one. We'll do an event like we did last year. It'll be Ward 1 and Ward 3 together, and then Ward 2 and Ward 4 together. That information that you provide to me also helps me figure out facilities. So then I work with the school district and other opportunities for facilities to ensure that we have some availability and can work with that. Usually facilities, we want parking, we want accessibility, we want the ability to have a microphone, set up the panel, and this we'll want an area that people can kind of move around in and communicate, and for the meet and greet part as well. So a couple other things that came up last month. We talked about, you guys expressed an interest in going to community events, having booths. So I am working on kind of setting a process up for some major events, but also an opportunity if you guys see an event that you'd want to attend, kind of figuring out how that would look for your guys' experience when working with staff, and then also working with the event coordination piece. Also working on getting you guys some materials for a booth, a quick shade, a table, table cover, some materials that would go with that as well. But that is coming in the future. And then we talked about Citizen Academy. There was a lot of discussion about that on our current process, looking at that and evaluating and like maybe changing how we're doing it, maybe cutting the time in half to 4 weeks instead of 8 weeks, and then even talking about our audience and who we want to provide this program for. So I'll be, in the upcoming months, I'll be looking at maybe potentially looking at making this gearing towards more students, potentially looking at, Councilor Keating brought up the providing an opportunity for credits with the students, so I want to kind of look into that. How would that work? work from our perspective, the students' perspective, the school's perspective, and then also seeing what if we were to cut the program in half to 4 weeks, who we could accommodate for that. Is it just students or is it adults as well, community members, and what that looks like. So that should be coming back your way in a couple months, but I just want to address those things as all of those things came up in January. With that, any questions?
Mr. Cart?
I just want to highlight the fact that thank you for making Ward 4 and Ward 2 look really good by not having our pictures on the screen. That was wonderful. No, anyway, I just say thank you, KJ. This is fantastic. This is exactly the kind of stuff that I'm looking for from your department. How can we do a better job of getting in front of people? There's no sacred cows. Let's revisit, let's fix, let's engage what works, what doesn't work. So thank you for this. I mean, I've been really excited since we first got on council with the first town halls. Like, it's great to see the growth. So thank you for continuing to partner with us as we try to bring Medford to Medford residents.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, Jessica.
I'm super excited about doing like a teen academy.
Yeah.
But, you know, just in the future, I am now going to need to approve every picture that you use of me in all of your slides. Thank you.
I thought it was very engaging. You're having a great conversation.
Yes, Mr. Quinn.
So I do like the school focus. When we went to Innovation Academy, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'm going to give you a shout out for helping me get a pretty good message out to the Link audience. KJ prepared talking points about what's happening in the city, and we were able to put that on blast to that community. So she remains awesome. And there it is.
Appreciate that.
A lot of nice compliments tonight.
Yeah, very nice. Thank
Not
you. I
bad.
really appreciate that. It means a lot.
I don't get those.
You have to be awesome first, Mike.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll say one more thing. That was a very concise presentation and very engaging. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love the
All right.
pictures.
Well done. Anything else, Mr. Bob?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, we will move on to the end of our meeting. However, I do want to give Kevin, I mean, clearly, if you have something that, you know, it'll be discussed through council officers, but you've got something, and I just want to give you an opportunity if you wanted to share anything for the good of the order before we adjourn.
No, I mean, I just really appreciate those people that you know care deeply about the issue and are willing to come out at 6 p.m. after work or whatever to share their voice. And you know, I would just like to have a discussion about just what we got on the table, and maybe there's something that we can do else, or maybe we keep going. But I just think it's relevant in terms of keeping people better included, maybe whether it be this decision or future decisions. I think maybe we missed the mark. Maybe we missed the mark the first time. And I hope we don't, miss the mark a second time. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Thanks.
And I think I guess, to tagging on to that is we do have a cycle track that is well disliked. However, we also do have a downtown plan that has a lot of different alternatives that gets alternate modes of travel around the community that are have not really been explored yet, and I think that there are clearly. I think to your point, Kevin, not to rush into something is, and to have a little thoughtful strategy on it to accomplish more than one goal, rather than just simply, hey, we just got to get bikes from here to there, but maybe there's multiple goals that can be served that solve a larger, more than one problem. How about that? Mr. Keating, did you have your?
I did not have my hand up.
Okay. So with that, anything else? Mira, we are adjourned.
We'll take a 10 and start Mira at 8:19. Okay, it's 8:19. What's that?
We don't need Harry.
Where's Harry?
Well, we might need Harry.
It's going to be a very short meeting.
Oh, yeah, so keep going, let's go.
All right, it's 8:20. I'm starting my very first meeting late, and we'll call Mura to order. And I'm definitely wearing my suit to run my first Mura meeting, and for no other reason. First on our agenda is the Beatty Street Affordable Home Ownership.
I think these are different topics.
I'm trying to go really slow so Harry can get here.
Would you like me to go get him?
Yeah, let's do call.
Oh, we have to call roll first?
No, it's a study session.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's a Mura study session.
Never mind.
There's no gavel. There's nothing. Oh, hey, look.
Here he comes.
Harry showed up.
There he is.
I mean, technically, Michelle is our director, right? Where's our director?
I know. Sorry, Harry. They threw you under the bus. I felt pressured to start the meeting without you.
I can leave and you guys just scroll through the slides if you want. It's fine with me.
It'll be a short meeting if you do.
That's right. Okay.
Okay. So first on our agenda is the Beatty Street Affordable Home Ownership Concepts.
Beatty or Beatty? I think
Beatty. Okay.
I just renamed it.
I'm actually really excited to present this to you because we put a lot of work into thinking this through and coming up with a strategy, and I'm hopefully you'll find it of interest and you can make some decisions about whether to go in this direction. So back last summer, I brought you a conceptual proposal for 3 12-unit apartment buildings on this site. And that didn't really resonate with you, and there was a number of folks on the board who expressed an interest in whether we had an opportunity to support affordable home ownership at this site in Liberty Park, and maybe do something that models other opportunities for infill housing elsewhere in the city. So based on that expression of interest, and in a subsequent conversation that I had with Mr. Curlinger and Mr. West when we visited the site, I took a run at looking at how row housing can be deployed on this site. And it's not quite as simple as you would hope it would be. The idea of a row house is nothing more than a row of single-family attached houses that are attached horizontally, all of which sit on their own piece of land. So it is single-family units, but it's a multifamily development, as opposed to stacked units, which you would have in an apartment or a condominium structure. So what row houses do is they give you a certain amount of land efficiency in terms of being able to utilize small parcels. They are on their own piece of land, therefore they avoid condominium, which is itself a complicated thing and a management issue into the long term. It allows you to separate land ownership from the ownership of improvements through a community land trust or other factors that help reduce the cost for home buyers. It is the epitome of the dumb box because it's just a box that's repeated ad infinitum with some variations always possible. But it's repetitive, it's standardized, it's modular. Very importantly, it's under the residential building code rather than the commercial code. And that has enormous benefits in terms of the cost of construction. So it's an easier glide path, less expensive glide path to go in the building code. So what we're looking for as at this site is, can this be done without a huge amount of effort for entitlement? And to do that, we had to look at a couple of different things. So just real briefly, I just pulled these photographs at random. This is up in Virginia on the upper left. Upper right is in London. The 2 on the bottom are in Savannah, Georgia, where I lived for 6 years and worked. This is what I'm talking about when we talk about row houses. And to put this in context, in the East Coast, there's quite a variety of row house types. They vary by width, as small as 12 feet, commonly 15 feet, sometimes 20, 25. It varies a lot. In Baltimore, the typical row house is a 14-foot module, which is shown here. And this is what we see out here in the West and in Oregon, the concept of townhouses, which has a very different kind of character about it than what I associate with row houses on the east. I will tend to call this row houses because that's an architectural form. I don't know where the word townhouse comes from. I think it's a real estate marketing term, and it has nothing to do with the actual form of the housing. So I want to dig in a little bit and get in the weeds on some regulatory questions. First, about the building code. Secondly, about the Medford Municipal Code and Chapter 10 and the treatment of row houses. And let me just give a shout out here at the beginning of this. You know, I'm over on the second floor of the annex. Building department, public works, planning, they all let me just like roam around and bother people and ask questions and wear out my welcome. So this information, especially about the planning code, was informed in conversations with planning staff, particularly Employee of the Year, Carla Palladino, yeah, go. And the indispensable Kelly Aiken, who knows how to navigate the code like you wouldn't believe. So first of all, under the Oregon Residential Building Code, a townhouse is simply a dwelling unit that's got yard or open space on at least two sides, and it's attached to buildings on either side. Pretty straightforward, and it goes from the dirt all the way up to the roof. So it has a foundation straight up through the roof. So there's nothing stacked on top of it. The townhouse is simply an architectural form. It is not prescribed to be of any specific dimension. It can be narrow, it can be wide, doesn't matter. It still falls on the residential building code. Our municipal code is a little bit more specific. It also describes the townhouse the same way, attached to buildings next to it, has yards in front and back, so forth and so on. But we also have a provision in the municipal code that defines a townhouse by its lot. And the lot has to be a minimum of 20 feet wide and 90 feet deep. The code also says that the minimum lot size is 1,500 square feet, so somebody doesn't do the math to make sure that that's all aligned. More importantly, townhouses, as they are defined by the code, are specifically allowed in SFR 4 through MFR 20, and they are prohibited in MFR 30. The only residential use allowed in commercial zoning by our code has to comply with MFR 30. So here's a bit of a conundrum. We have a townhouse concept, but you can't use it anywhere where you could build housing, multifamily housing, in commercial districts, as it is defined in our code. The other thing is that this 20-foot width, I don't know where that comes from either, because as I said, you know, we have examples of narrower and wider. From an architectural standpoint, a single bay townhouse doesn't need to be much more than 12 to 15 feet wide. So a 20-foot is not really, it's wider than you need for a one bay, it's too wide for a two bay. So, you know, it's an unusual constraint that limits design and flexibility. So this is our site on Beatty Street. This is, you know, we purchased this, we tore down a couple of blighted houses. We've done a bunch of stuff to clean up the alleyway behind. And what we have now is a 20-foot alley on the backside that wraps around the site, and then a 263.5-foot frontage on Beatty Street, 95 feet deep on Manzanita. When you do the calculations for minimum density, it's based on gross acreage. If you do it at MFR 30, even with the exception, the reduction that's allowed by code, you need 17 units on this site. At MFR 20, you need 13, excuse me. Okay, you can't get to MFR minimum density, MFR 30 minimum density with a 20-foot lot. It's geometrically impossible. You can get 12 units with a 20-foot wide lot, so it won't hit the MFR 30 density. And one of the things we explored was, well, why don't we just rezone it? Let's downzone it to MFR 20. Well, it's actually a bit of a stretch to get to MFR 20 minimum density as well. The other problem with this site is because it's commercially zoned, the GLUP is commercial, so we would be piling on additional entitlement processes and expense and time to reposition this through a rezoning. So looking at hypothetical layouts, if you move to a 16-foot lot, you can get 15 units. Well, you still aren't at the minimum density. So you can play around with that lot configuration and double up units on either end, and you can get there by manipulating the lot size. Now, the way you do this in the code is that we allow pad lots in commercial districts. We allowed pad lots for multifamily housing. So a continuous line of row houses would fall under the definition of multiple family dwellings, eligible to be done on pad lots, and it would meet the density requirements for MFR 30. So I want to impress upon you that there are lots of ways to configure a site like this and to kind of slice and dice it into different kinds of lots. That's one of the important things about the variability of lot size, is that a developer could come in and say, you know what, we're going to do some small units for single occupancy, first-time home buyer, single person, as opposed to somebody who's coming in with 3 kids, needs, a couple extra bedrooms and extra bathrooms, and might need something a little bit larger. So the pad lot gives us an infinite amount of flexibility in terms of siting units on this property. I want to impress upon you that this only gets us to the minimum density in MFR 30. It would be very hard to come anywhere near what our there's no maximum density at all in our commercial districts. We have the minimum density, and there's no cap on how much you can put on a site. So, so this means that, you were looking at a housing form that currently does not exist in Medford anywhere. I mean, there are townhouses, but not at this density and at this scale. So we're talking about expanding our vocabulary of housing form, much as we did with middle housing in the introduction of cottage cluster and allowing triplexes and duplexes and quadruplexes on single-family lots. Everything that we've done over the last 5 years to diversify, adding ADUs, to increase the options for housing development. So the benefits here are, from a zoning standpoint, we meet the multifamily definition. It's allowed under CC, community commercial. We can hit density. It eliminates a bunch of entitlement stuff, especially the reglupping, which would be kind of onerous. It conforms with the residential building code. It increases design flexibility, and it is still subject to design guidelines that are already in the Medford code. We have multiple family design guidelines, which are promulgated. If we try to do this as a townhouse, it doesn't meet the townhouse definition, so the townhouse design standards don't apply. So the downsides is it's on the low end of density. Let me point out that a narrower lot size, we're lucky that we have alley access for car parking, but a narrower lot size reduces it down to a single bay for parking on the backside of the building. Now, that could be tandem parking, so you could still park 2 cars behind a house, but it doesn't give you the 20-foot wide garage with 2 cars side by side. So that's a consideration. In this location, we have lots of on-street parking in front of where these could be built, upwards of 20 on Beatty Street alone and probably another 3 on Manzanita. So it's possible to park these, but I know that parking is a sensitive subject and we want to be mindful of it in terms of what we would pursue. And finally, the other negative, it doesn't conform to the townhouse design standards because it's not a townhouse, but it does for multifamily. And keep in mind that as MURA, the board, if we were to pursue this with a developer, can impose any set of conditions as a matter of contract above and beyond what the code requires. So those are things to keep in mind in terms of what the outcomes are that you might want to see happen on this site. I thought I'd just throw this, I forget where I found this, but it's a really nice illustration of a mixture of housing types. Standard type A is a 2-story townhouse. B and C are 2.5 stories, 3 stories, mixed up, so you can actually get some standardization and some modularity out of an approach to this site. And this would just be one example of how you can mix things up. This is kind of a cross-section cut view of those same housing types, just showing it in section. This is a project that I came across that's up in Portland that's being done by Habitat for Humanity in Portland. It is a townhouse form. It's 16 feet wide. Gives you some sense. These have garages in them. I'll tell you right now, trying to hit affordability for home ownership probably means you don't get a garage because you can't build in that extra $50,000 to build a full enclosed garage. So it's more likely a carport or an open parking space. But this is one example. I did want you to see this. So, you know, the affordability for home ownership means that it's targeting households that are 80% of AMI and below. And awards are made in part based on how deeply affordable you can get. Can you hit 60? Can you hit 50%? Can you get even lower? At the most recent LIFT Home Ownership Awards, which were announced in June of 2025, half of all the projects went to townhouse proposals. And most of those were being done by local Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity statewide is working with local chapters, and they are working with Proud Ground and other community land trust vehicles to separate out the land ownership from the ownership of the improvements, which further reduces the cost of entry to get into home ownership. I'm sorry, I don't know why this is showing up this way, but I do want to note that the average lift subsidy per unit was $196,000 and change, and the average sale price was $246,845. That is generally within reach of a household making 70 or 80% of AMI with 4 people, somebody making $65,000 to $74,000 a year. That would give them a mortgage payment of about 30%, under 30% of their gross income, which is the gold standard for defining what affordability thresholds look like. So that's a quick overview. There was a little bit more in the memo that I sent out in advance. There's a path forward to look at this. I have had casual conversations with a couple of affordable housing developers who have expressed interest in the site, including our local chapter of Habitat, including Edlin and Company said they might take a look at it. So there is interest there. There are developers who do affordable home ownership, which are quite distinct and a whole different beast than affordable rental, using LIFT and LIHTC. So like our stewardship partnership on Central Avenue, they might have some interest in this, but they're really 2 different realms of development expertise. So looking for direction, is this something that intrigues you, that you would like to spend more time, staff, and really kind of dig into this as a strategy for this site? Is there anything that immediately jumps out that's like, whoa, this is a big problem? We need to have more information about this particular thing before I could even, give direction to pursue it. One of the big questions that I have is always, would you pursue this on a competitive solicitation with an RFQ, RFP, or would you allow private conversations and to do a direct negotiation with a preferred developer? It's Mira's choice. We don't have to do this competitively. Our original proposal for Central Avenue was done on the basis of RFQ, and we chose Rubicon Edlin. When we pivoted to stewardship, we just did a direct negotiation with a different developer who had a similar concept. So there's no constraint on our ability to do direct negotiation. And as part of that, to open these conversations, there would need to be some clarity from the board about what you think we might be able to contribute as far as help reaching these affordability benchmarks. Obviously, we already own the dirt. Contribution of land is always great. You know, there are a couple of big buckets of cost in housing development. There's the cost of land. There's all the pre-development expense and soft costs that we encounter. There's the hard costs of construction. There's cost of capital, and there's developer profit. With a nonprofit affordable housing developer, the profit motive goes away. Land is an easy one to deal with. We're doing it on Central Avenue. We're going to contribute that land. On the soft cost stuff, that's why we do SDCs. That's a huge benefit that people don't have to absorb that cost. There's not a lot we can do on the construction side of stuff. And then not a lot we want to do on the cost of capital. We don't want to become a lender. So anyway, those are areas of where there are levers that can be pulled. The most typical ones are to default to some deal on land, some deal financial support for SDCs.
Nick, you're closest.
So first on the row house, the way as you've described it, that would allow those homes to be separated out, parceled out, and individually owned.
Correct.
Okay. So, that's perfect. That's, yes, thumbs up on that. The affordable home ownership thing, is that like a title restriction that like someone has to be under a certain, like the way Habitat does it for their homes? Like you can't just sell it if you're under certain incomes, or how is that managed?
Okay. Well, there's Habitat's model, which is a unique model. And then there are also, when you get public funds that come into the project, there are different sets of covenants. So there are affordability covenants that come with LIFT. We can impose our own affordability covenants by virtue of Mura's support. You're shaking your head.
Let's not do that.
I'm also shaking my head on that one. So the reason why I was asking, Harry, is because the way I think about this is I am happy to think about our contribution to a project like this as a contribution to incentivize the kind of development we'd like to see in Medford, not as a contribution to like ensure capital A affordable kind of ownership. Like, so that's where I kind of stand on that, and I don't know if that answers.
Well, let me address that, because the overriding concern when it comes to public money that goes into projects as subsidy in this is the preservation of affordability for the long term. So the classic way in this scenario would be two things. One is you can put the land into a community land trust, and that value of the land automatically comes out from the purchase of the property, because the homeowner owns the improvements on a ground lease. That's one way you separate land value from building value. It also serves to reduce their taxes on property taxes because they're not being taxed on the land, although that's fairly negligible on a lot this size. With community land trusts, the typical measure to preserve affordability is through a limited equity covenant or shared equity covenant, which says, you know what, we know that the unit's going to appreciate over time, but the owner is not going to get the windfall of a giant equity increase in appreciation at sale. So that is capped. So there's still wealth generated through the ownership of through home ownership, but you don't get 100% of the equity. That comes back to the underlying nonprofit that's involved in the project. So it's a shared approach on that respect.
So anyway, my comments are, I hate everything about land trusts, and I don't want them with this project, and I really don't care about capping anyone's future equity. I want to create ownership opportunities. If those are affordable, fantastic, that's the goal, but I look at this as more of an urban development project than I do an affordability project, and so for us to be able to bring row housing to Medford, to me that's a very exciting opportunity, and I love the little 16-foot wide row houses.
So if Mura contributes the land, and let's say we have 20 units on it at $25,000 a lot. The person who purchases that property could turn around and sell it in any time, and they would get the windfall of the entire $25,000. That's the conundrum about subsidy. At what point does subsidy generate a windfall? And how should that be treated? So I think that's something we're going to need to dig into a little bit more, because the purpose wasn't, I mean, otherwise we should just grant people $25,000 to go buy a house.
I mean, I guess I would just say, like, you know, we gave Lithium money to build their headquarters. So, like, this is a smaller version of that project to me.
Okay, well, we can dig in. And again, I think you're going to find that any affordable housing developer is probably going to use some kind of structure that separates land out from improvements.
That, to me, that would be a non-starter for what I
Okay.
want to accomplish here.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Mayor next, and then Garrett, and then Jess.
Yeah, I guess to the board and everyone, the idea of pursuing affordable homeownership and the models that were set, I personally think if the project is out there at 16-foot wide lots, 3-story max, or whatever it is that we're looking at, I think I don't need to put any income restrictions on it. And I think we just do the project as that. So concerns about row house, I'll just finish. The row house form, it's a little interesting. It feels like we are finding whatever little workaround in our code that we can get to get what we want. Maybe that's cool, but as long as everyone gets treated that way, that's fine. I would prefer, I guess, if we're trying to do a project, to at least try a competitive solicitation, at which point, if we don't get interest, we could go to direct negotiation. And if the board is willing to contribute land, I would say yes. Probably through the solicitation process, someone could come up with something else. I think worst case scenario, we've cleaned up a lot of problems with the property and we could list it. If we can't figure out how to do a project that is just redevelopment.
So to clarify, so you'd be happy to see this as a market rate project?
I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Okay, then that the affordability, home ownership is not a primary motivator. I mean, that'd be great.
I know, I think our whole intent, once we start getting down the line of, hey, some hedge fund's gonna come in and buy this and build it and rent it out to people. Is that the worst thing that happens with the piece of property? How big's the lot again? 200 by what?
263 by 95.
I don't know.
Mayor, to clarify, are you opposed, do you want it market rate and you're okay if it's a subsidized market rate project? Or you want it subsidized affordable or market rate?
Not really looking to turn this into a complex, we're gonna go 60 to 80% MHI and put deed restrictions on it. I mean, the worst thing that happens, I guess, is what I just said, is that somebody builds 1,200 square foot homes on there. We could have some part of this that we want these for sale, but I don't think it's that big of a property or that big of a deal. Why don't we cut our teeth on seeing if this works at all, see if there's any interest in it. I just don't know how much I want to get into the model of we're going to get it 80 to 120 or whatever, the 60 to 80. That's my personal opinion.
Garrett?
So my primary motivator in this is to have to introduce a new form of housing to Medford. Row houses are critical in my mind to our future development. And we have a development community who I love, but they do the same things that were trained to do by their dads and their granddads. And we want to introduce a little bit of novelty to them. And this form, it's not capital A affordable, but it's more affordable than single family detached on a quarter acre, right? And we need to have starter homes in our community. And if we can introduce a form like this that looks nice and it makes things just a little bit easier for first-time home buyers in our community, we've done our job, in my mind. For this competitive solicitation, I'm all fine with that. I think with the capital A affordable, idea. I do feel uncomfortable about having long-term covenants on these properties. The state is trying to put them on with some of the big UGB expansions they're doing right now, and they're like 60-year-long covenants, which just horrify me. If we want to ensure that these will be owned and not rented, we can put a covenant on that. If we want to make sure that there's not going to be a windfall of 25 grand or something, we can put a covenant on that, but we do it for a shorter time frame. We do it 5 to 7 years. And then I know our president has a solution, so she can say that in her turn. I do want to say that I really appreciate staff's research into this problem. This alone has, in my mind, contributed a lot to the development community, because the next time someone comes in with a project that looks like this, we've solved a lot of the issues already, and that will have saved them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So I do want to say that I'll probably be bringing a motion at a future meeting to amend the code with the definition of townhouse, because this just seems a bit overcomplicated. But thank you so much, staff. I appreciate it.
I'm so excited about this. Okay, so.
Were you recognized by the chair?
It was a preemptive recognition.
Okay. So I too am excited about a different housing type that we have not had here, so I'm all in favor of that. I think potentially the solution for this fear of equity windfall is that perhaps we do donate the land. I'm not a fan of land trusts, so I don't want to do that, but donate the land, and then all we would need to do, in my opinion, is put a second on it, that on the property that could be forgivable after 10 years or whatever we feel is adequate, not permanent affordability, but something that just falls off after a decent amount of time where they've been in the home and they've been making payments, and they've, so that's my recommendation.
Mr. Chair?
Oh, yes. Mr. Stein?
Hi. Sorry, what was the value of the land? Rough estimate of the value of the land, Harry?
I haven't had it appraised, but I don't think it's much more than $400,000, depending on what somebody wants to do with it.
Okay, but based on that, I kind of like what Councilor Ayers said. Thank you.
Nick, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to go echo off of what Garrett said about the code language change. To me, one of the worst things to ever hear is our code doesn't do X very well, because we can just amend X and make it do X really well. And in the spirit of we want to enable development, we want to do things. A lot of the reason why our code is the way it is because no one has come and pushed us to change it. No one is building townhomes, and so no one's worried about 90 times 20 doesn't equal 1,500. These are just to me, seeing that is in the math there, it's wow, I wonder how thick the dust is on this code. So to Michelle, I know she's hiding behind Harry there, but yeah, this is the kind of thing that part of what I think I can speak for Garrett and say part of what we're trying to do here is let's be creative about this, and let's learn on the city's dime on how we're not doing a very good job, so we can make it work for private developers when they come in, so we're not having to learn on their dime. So anyway, let's knock down the code or whatever.
And if I could give the Mura board over the period that I've been here big props, we did this already on 2 projects. We did the Genesis project, which produced workforce housing at moderate rents. It's not under any kind of covenant. There's no restriction whatsoever. But Laza Yaila built 62 units of housing that are attainable to people making 70 to 120% of AMI with no mandate to do so. We also did the very first middle housing development on Putnam Street, where we did the 4 units on the 6,000 square foot lot. That was a lot of brain death, because that was when we were just beginning to make the code amendments to the zoning code as a result of the state mandates for middle housing. So Mura is in a particularly good position to, I think, to innovate on these things. And Ms. Ayers, if I can just clarify, so you were suggesting a potential sleeping second, 0 interest, non-amortizing, forgivable after a term, or due on sale before? Okay.
100%.
Okay.
You made comment in your notes that it is a negative factor for the row houses, that it's not subject to townhouse design standards?
Well,
Or is that inherently negative?
I'm just pointing out that we have two sets of design standards in the code, one for multifamily housing, which is one set of design guidelines, and one specifically for townhouses. Even though this is more like a townhouse form, it would not meet the definition, so those standards don't apply.
Okay.
But we have a different set of design guidelines.
I love like these row houses that you have here, these whole like 2.5 story and 3
Yeah, yeah.
story. I think that looks
That's pretty cool.
cool. I would want to live there. The one concern I have when we say let's get creative, let's put different kinds of housing in, is I don't want to start to feel hodgepodge. Like, oh, Medford had this idea here one time, and then they did this kind of building, and it exists nowhere else anywhere in a 30-mile radius. And then we tried it again over here. So I just want to make sure we keep some kind of continuity, or like we see that this works really well and we can try to replicate it somewhere.
Sure.
I think I like the sleeping second. I have a little bit of heartburn about doing any significant kind of subsidy to say we want to get someone to an affordable home if we decide we're doing affordable homes. If we decide that's not what we're doing here, that's fine. But then for one person to benefit for a couple of years and then sell it for a significant benefit, I don't think is the intent. So I would either want to show a lot of flexibility on what kind of proposals we might accept here, and maybe a great deal on the land, but not necessarily donating it, or doing something to give us at least a period of affordability, something to say we are creating something that goes beyond this first person. Because one person lives in it for 2 years and then sells it for $110,000 more than they bought it, which no one can afford at that time anyway, and then they leave.
Somebody had to afford it if they bought it.
Well, they bought it because it was subsidized by us.
Well, but
in
if
the
they
initial
sell it,
construction.
someone else bought it, so that had to be affordable to the person
Fair,
who
but
bought
I'm
it.
not looking to subsidize individual real estate. Anyway, that's my thought. Nick, did you have something else to add?
Yes. So, Michelle, here's a crazy idea. Can we change the minimum density requirements under MFR 30? You can just tell me no if the answer is no.
It's more complicated than no.
Sorry, Michelle, could we get you at a microphone just for people
Since it's
watching?
more complicated than no, you will need to step up to a microphone.
For the record, Michelle is saying no, and we don't need to try to rewrite code during this discussion in case this is going to get convoluted.
I think lowering density is going to cause problems with our housing planning and our housing requirements. So I think it would be difficult to lower density. I do think that, we're looking at the townhouse, where the townhouse language came from, and it sounds like it may have come from a state House bill in the way past, but we also, Kelly and I were just talking about that we created another type of housing called row housing, so that we can come up with this different set of requirements for row housing, which is a solution.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will say that I just got a lecture on townhomes, and it was a fancy name for row houses as a marketing employee, so you were dead on. Like in the early 1900s. So I think there's some solutions there.
All right. Thank you. I'm not, just for the record, not saying that like just changing our density is a good idea. I'm just always thinking about how do we, if there's a hard process, is there an easier backdoor way to do the thing?
There are other ramifications of doing that, so yeah.
Okay, so Harry, I think, yes, we're interested in looking at affordable there. We need to determine the exact nature of that. Yes, we are preferring probably something competitive, and we don't have any inherent heartburn about the row houses, though we might need to nail down some specifics. Is that fair? Does that give you enough direction, or do you need more specifics?
Yeah, I just want to throw out two other thoughts. One is that, in general, I'm not a fan of concentrated affordable housing. I much prefer to see mixed income housing. So with a development like this, there's the possibility of having some affordable units with subsidy and other ones at market rate. I live in Chautauqua Trace, which is a duplex townhome development in Ashland. My three neighbors are all in the 3 units that are land trust owned, and they bought those units 25 years ago when they were struggling, households. And it's been a great thing because the neighborhood's a big mixed income neighborhood. And I think that's a really great way to get at it. So that's another angle here. I am going to indulge myself a bit because I have this thing about code, which I've taken to calling it the mysterious veil of numeric precision. We have numbers in code, 20 feet. Where did that come from? It's a number, right? It makes it easy to administer code. It's clear and objective in administration, but that doesn't mean it's not arbitrary and capricious. And I think it's arbitrary and capricious. And there's tons of those setback requirements. Yeah, I mean, don't get me started. But anyway, so Michelle and I and the staff have talked about potential ways to massage the code to introduce greater flexibility. And if this is the way we can kind of ferret all that out, great.
Cool. I like your idea of mixed use. And it seems like we're all kind of leaning towards ownership. That's not like a hill I'm willing to die on. I could be convinced otherwise, but my gut is ownership.
Well, and
Nick,
I
okay,
mean,
never mind.
there's a different question whether this is an attractive site for market rate housing development.
It seems like
That would be
generally
different.
speaking, we want to pursue ownership.
Is it?
Sure.
Well, and I think that's where some of the question about like what kind of subsidy, what does it look like? Like there are sort of challenges. I agree 100% on using this as a sort of template site. Except I do think this sort of kind of housing makes a lot of sense for the Liberty Park area as it grows, because it's a way to densify but also maintain ownership and also maintain something of a single family feel that sort of does a good job of making the most of that space. So I like this, but I'm really interested to see what we get. And so I would say that maybe we are going to get a bunch of competitive solutions, but I'm going to guess that we're going to have to do some direct negotiation here to find an ultimate provider that's going to be willing to do this, just by the nature of the site and the nature of this as a sort of pilot project for the city.
Okay.
Cool. You have what you need on that one? Mr.
nothing
Minton?
Just a very short thing. I appreciate Harry's thoughts, but the city does not admit that its land development code is arbitrary and capricious.
Harry's a contractor, right? Not an employee?
Yeah.
No, I'm an employee. Right. I'm a former developer, so.
Not. Next item, the Living Waters Church seismic grant.
Yeah, so this is unfortunate. So Living Waters came to you, you all agreed to give them $350,000. They thought that they had the full scope of what the entire building would need to meet seismic code. Turned out that the 350 really covers the main block of the primary assembly space, which gets their occupancy up where they wanted it to go. When we drafted the agreement, we sent it over, the church called me back and said, our bad, we cannot accept the grant. We represented that we thought this was everything, and that was an honest mistake on our part. But that's not the case, so we can't accept the grant. So they've come back to say, would you still allow the 350 to go out, basically to do the scope that they had envisioned for the primary space, and then they'll just have to figure out how they get the rest of that building done. They don't want any more money, but they would still like to use the grant if you're willing to provide that.
Yes, Jess.
Am I reading this right in that the total is 360?
The total
No, that's
is
the additional
700.
Okay, I'm like,
Yeah, no,
why
project-
wouldn't we just give them another $10,000?
No, the total cost is double what they
Wow.
originally, yeah.
But by doing the first one, that solves the problem of occupancy. They
Yes.
can get it to the occupancy
Right,
that they need.
yes.
Well, that still seems like somewhat of a win.
Yep.
Quinn, Keating, do you guys have thoughts? I think Keating might have been no from the first time. Quinn? That seemed arbitrary and capricious. I mean, Eric, this is kind of a do we need to take a actual?
There's no vote.
No, this is a study session.
Study session,
It's
no
a study
vote.
session. Do I need to
Thumbs at
redisclose?
most, and it's not binding.
Okay, great. Well, I'm thumbing up, and I'm just reminding everybody, I've spoken with the church about this. I attend that church. I'm not going to benefit from this, but
Well, you're going to be safer.
yeah, but I like to live on the edge, so this is actually bad for me.
He's part of a class of people who will all be safer, so it doesn't count.
To clarify,
Just as a reminder, the wheels are coming off the bus, but we need to do the buttons on the microphone.
We are conceptually good with giving them this for phase
if-
one. They're responsible for
If you're willing
phase
to
two.
consider an amendment to the original grant terms, it will come back to you at a board meeting to approve the revised grant. Okay.
Okay, before we move on to the next one, so that this doesn't turn into a 30-minute conversation at the next Mura board meeting, does anyone have any other questions about this they need to get out before we see an amendment?
No, I'll just ask my question.
That's the plan. Keating?
Yeah, so I mean, since the terms have changed significantly, I guess, we could simply squash this one, have them come back for a different one rather than amend. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, my voice. They're looking to amend the original $350,000 grant.
They just want approval to do it as phase one, same amount of money.
So the only thing changing is that we're not doing the whole thing.
Right.
I never liked it in the first place. It's
Okay.
It's the religious thing. So
With respect, I think most of us are on board. We knew that you didn't like it in the first place. I expect you'll vote no on the amendment, which is fine.
Well, like I said, it'll come back to you for formal action at board.
Okay. Last one, Annam Housing Platform.
Okay, this is a very quick overview. You all may remember Jarek Murray, who is part of the Living Waters Church. He has a very interesting new housing application called Annam. It is it aggregates local housing resources from a vast number of sources. It could be from the city, it could be from Access, it could be all kinds of different places that have support and resources to help people find housing. And it aggregates them into a single interface and then takes the data of the applicant and matches it up with available resources. And it forwards those applications on to those agencies and says, you know, you're eligible for this, you're not eligible for that. It's a navigation tool to find resources that support housing. So it's a very efficient kind of one-stop application for users that expedites the search for housing support. It facilitates the review of applicants' eligibility from multiple sources. And importantly for us, it gathers real-time market data on what the community housing needs and conditions are, whereas we often rely on census data and stuff that's, 3, 4, 5 years old. We don't necessarily have a good snapshot of what's going on in the market immediately. So this is something that Jarek is working on with a number of jurisdictions. He has a pilot going on. It's going to be in New York. It's going to be in Aspen, Colorado. I think they're doing it in Bend. They're doing a number of places. And this is getting ready to roll out. He's looking to see if the city of Medford, either as Mura or U.S. City Council, would be willing to sign on as a user, as one of the contributors. It's a $50,000 ask to be a funder of the pilot. And I'm bringing it to you because I had the opportunity to present it to you. It's something that we would do a much deeper dive on if it's anything that even passes your initial screen for interest. He demonstrated this to planning staff and myself. I'm pretty impressed with it. I think our benefit would be significantly better data on what housing needs really are in the community, because we have a lot of assumptions out there about how people get pigeonholed into certain classifications of housing need, and that may not be accurate when you actually look at the aggregate data about applicants and what they're looking for. So if that's something you would like, we could bring it back in a study session. And like I said, it could be funded by Mura, funded by the city, or a combination of the two. But if you want to do that, I'll see if Mr. Vile wants to get this scheduled for you.
Jessica?
So does any of the staff that's in the audience know, Jarek and Annam did I don't know, like a workshop that So Ready helped put on, and the city of Medford was supposed to participate under our former city manager, and I'm not sure if that happened. Yes, Warren in the back. Please come down and join us.
Morning, City of Medford Economic Development Director, first time speaker, thank you. I was part of some of these conversations. Former city manager did engage with Annam and agreed to participating. The execution was lacking. HR director was meant to be engaged to complete the citywide surveying, and that didn't happen. So there's a significant data opportunity that exists, and we're seeing some of this data be reported out on, and it's pretty interesting. Is it a representative of the broader community? I think the data that we would provide, City of Medford staff participating in the survey, would help to round out that representation.
Z, is your mic on?
Yeah. I would like to know how this complements existing efforts done by nonprofits already. There's a lot of, just in disclosure, I know Access does a lot of work with, but that's the Oregon Housing Community, OHCS?
Oregon Housing Community Services.
Services. And clearly, the Housing Authority keeps their own records, but I think that they interact with one another. So I wouldn't support any real funding until I understood that better.
Did you want to respond to that, Harry? You may not have an answer to that, but I want to give you the opportunity.
I think the nature of the tool is that it becomes an aggregate of applicant information that then goes out to the participating agencies so that it facilitates their screening to find out who's eligible and puts them in a pipeline that they can then communicate with that agency. So it's a steering tool. But a demonstration would probably answer your question better than I can.
Jess?
I think we shouldn't, it doesn't just apply to people in like affordable housing situations. This follows people through their entire housing process. So it's not really geared as necessarily a nonprofit tool. It could be like market. I mean, you're the user, it would follow you through your housing journey as you get older. So you might need this type of housing right now, but in 10 years you might need this type of housing. And so it's not just for the low income nonprofit client.
Yeah, and if I gave the indication that it was, this is a really great tool for employers who are struggling to fill jobs because of the lack of housing. So part of this is not just public sector, nonprofit sector, but private sector to address the housing needs of the community.
Is that him? Yeah.
I'd like a study session on this. I think I'm going to have a lot more questions. I'm a little confused right now, but a housing platform sounds good. So study session, yes.
Zach?
I agree. I can see some benefits coming, so I'd like to see a study session on it as well.
Stein, I can't see if you're trying to do anything. Do you want to chime in on anything?
Nope.
Cool.
Thank you.
I support a study session.
Okay.
If we're going to vote on anything, I'll disclose. I know Jarek personally. I've had several conversations with him about Annam. I've had several iterations of this described. Yes. And partially because I don't want to misrepresent anything, also partially because Jarek has like so many concepts that they're trying to execute. I don't want to misrepresent it. But I do think a study session would be super valuable.
I strongly recommend you just take a look at it if it's of interest.
Mr. Minton, were you going to chime in on something?
No, it ended up going in a different direction. I'm good.
Cool, you have your direction on that. And
that's it for study session. Unless you have any questions for me on anything else.
I believe we're done, so unless anybody wants to go longer, we can call it.
We do have an executive
Well, we have to
session.
adjourn this and then leave, right? Yeah, okay. No, we're not going anywhere. Okay, we're done with the Mura study session at 9:14.
We got to go in the other room.